Welcome, everybody. Busy day, hot off the presses. Here we go. Yeah, so this is Google Plus Week. I don't know if you can tell by the 30-second intro that repeatedly said that. I am Dan McDermott, the self-appointed leader of the group. Let's introduce the rest of the gang. Maybe Pam, not sure. I don't know if Pam has no audio, no video, but she has a nice profile pic. We'll come back to Pam. We have Mr. Cadeas Kalut. Welcome, Cadeas. How are you, sir? Peace. All right. This is the first time we've ever introduced the panel at the beginning of the show, so they weren't ready. Craig Shipp, welcome. How are you? How are things at Camp David? Oh, my God. I'm going to start over. You're all muted.
Got my volume up.
It's my fault.
You can't hear me?
You're muted on my end because you were talking when I started. Apologies. I'll go back to Craig and Pam.
This is the first time we've ever run this show.
Well
Are we
earned.
going to do introductions at the beginning of the show?
Craig, welcome. How are you? How's Camp David?
It's great here. It's a little bit hot today for the first time all summer.
Yeah, it was pretty warm today. Cadeas, welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. What's up?
All right. Anthony, blast from the past.
Hello, Dan.
He's gone from dark to literally no light whatsoever. And we have in New York, Alan Furstenberg. How are you, Alan?
Good you came, Dan. How are you?
Are you ready to dig into me tonight? We'll agree on everything tonight. We've made a vow.
We always do.
Absolutely. Pam, welcome, Ms. Pam.
Hi, Dan. Hi, everyone.
Okay, you look all fresh and ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, so a quick programming note. Please tweet us at hashtag Google Plus Week. We will see them in our stream of comments here. And we will read your comments, especially if you're beating up on Craig or Alan. That gets you right to the fast track. You can also comment on YouTube or on Google Plus on any share of this program while we're live or afterward. Also, I will be on the Virginia Talk Radio Network discussing the conviction of former Virginia Governor Robert McDonnell and his wife Maureen on 11 and 9 counts on respectively federal charges, basically a corruption case, taking a bunch of money to do favors. So I'll be discussing that. That's at 11:07 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Saturday morning, 11:07 Eastern, 8:07 a.m. Pacific, right after CBS News. That's at virginiatalkradionetwork.com. And also our new paper's out. You can read it. It's completely free, and it's a doozy. We're undergoing an attack by a militant fringe religious sect. And you can read all about it in the mid-September issue of Warren and Frederick County Report. That's free at our two amazing websites, warrencountyva.com and frederickcounty.com, right on the home page for the next 2 weeks. Absolutely free. One of the best newspapers in the country, if not the best, Craig, studies have shown.
I think it's the best paper, by far.
And studies have shown free is the best way to receive something, I think. We've learned. So there's that. Okay, so our first thing.
And if they don't like the paper, they get double their money back.
Absolutely. And you're just for saying that, I'm giving you a 50% raise in your performance royalties, Mr. Shipp. Okay, let's go to Dr. Furstenberg, published author, sort of, right? Yeah, you're published.
Yeah, I'm published.
It's the longest publication release in history. He is the author of the book on...
No, I'd say there were several longer. I mean, if you look at some of Voltaire's works, for example, I mean, it took him ages to write some of his collected works.
Any
And
of those the monk Bibles back in the day were probably 20 years or something.
and I mean, the works that Will and Ariel Durant wrote, that was what, 11 volumes over what, 20 or 30 years, if not more.
Now I'm surprised Alan didn't troll me and say, Dan, how many William Durant works can you name in 30 seconds? Anyway, but check him out at O'ReillyMedia.com.
Shop
What is
at
it?
O'Reilly.com.
Shop at O'Reilly.com. It's developing for Google Glass is the title, right?
Designing and developing for Google Glass.
By Alan Furstenberg and
Jason Salas.
who's the spokesmodel of the group, of the duo. Okay, first up is this thing I saw and shared with you. I, honest to God, I didn't read but like the first paragraph because I was headed out, but I did send it to Craig, and I think Craig looked at it. So let's get a brief rundown of what Alan thinks, and then Craig, what do you think about it? Because you host, you own and operate the AreaGuides.com network of websites, and I'm curious if you think this is going to help you in any way. So Alan's looking at me like I'm an idiot. So
I sent this to Craig, so let's ask Alan what he thinks.
No, I said in a moment I'll go to Craig.
Okay.
First, you can explain it in normal terms, and then Craig control you. That's the way it works in the show.
So, what this is, the headline is that Google's made site-specific search more prominent, and they've added autocomplete and some other features to the site's own search pages. This is actually kind of a big deal. For sites that are using Sitemap, which is an enhanced way of being able to tell Google's robots, and in fact any other search engine's robots, what content there is on the site and how it's structured and what kind of the main categories are. One of the things that it now offers is a way to directly do search on that site. This is actually a feature that's been there for a long time, but it wasn't often used, and this looks like it's now a way for Google to kind of encourage website developers, hey, if you're not already using it, you may want to have people search directly from google.com results.
So
they'll be able to search your website.
Now, I think, haven't they had this for select partner sites for a number of years, but it wasn't generally available? And so what you're saying is that's the first question. The second question is you've always had the option to have Google search right on your website, a little thing built in. But you could, I don't know if they still do this, but you could pay if it was ad-free, or you could get it free, ad-supported. So you're saying that basically bringing that into google.com proper, just to make it more convenient.
That's correct. I mean, it basically lets you search any of the supported website, any website that's configured themselves to do so, search that website directly from Google search results. So, for example, if AreaGuides.com supported this, and someone did a search for Area Guides, AreaGuides.com would come up as one of the search results, probably the top search result, and one of the items that's part of the search result would say search AreaGuides.com directly on Google search results.
That's anything you can make it easier to go to Area Guides, Craig, I think is a good thing. You're going to have to fire up your Elance team of Pakistanis ASAP. What do you think?
Well, but I mean, what's the likelihood that they're going to put a search term in that is going to pull that up? We already have Google Search on our site, where I'll share my screen real quick.
What if they were searching for pizza places in Frederick, Maryland, for example, and then a couple results, one or two results came up at Frederick.com, and then it said search for more from Frederick.com? It would be the
that would be good.
From the
that would
safety
be
of the
good.
Google
I just have to
site,
see
you could
how
see, we'll have to see it in
work.
action.
I'd like to see some examples of it, and we could certainly put it in as a tweak. But here's how we currently display our search. On the left is our in-house website search, and then the center column there is Google search results, just searching our site, right? So of course we've had that for a long time. But yeah, this would be a good thing to add. If it's not that hard to implement, then we should certainly do it. Why not do it?
One thing that I really like, and then let's see what Cadeas thinks, is it's so frustrating. Like I'm a pizza freak, making pizza, right, and eating pizza. I've never had a pizza I didn't like. But you go to, like, I'm in the forum pizzamaking.com, and they've got a built-in whatever PHP based forum thing they're using. And if you're trying to find something, I find it cryptic, and I don't like the way the search results, they're not as good as Google. So then I go to Google and I type site:pizzamaking.com, and I do the search there, and I get much better results from Google than some legacy search algorithm from some free or low cost forum software. So this gives you the power of Google to let them find results that are more relevant and better without having to go to your site, and then hopefully that'll end up getting them to your site. And you don't have to. Why does every site have to reinvent the wheel? You can do a Google custom search, but some have the built-in searches. Kadeus, what do you think about this? Is this something you're excited about?
Not really. Just something new to the web. Not really. I don't really see it as groundbreaking or anything. I mean, this is something that's already been there for the most part. So
it's basically Google 3.0.
Well, it's not even new. It's taking data that Google's already been collecting and letting people do stuff from Google in a slightly different way. No, it's not grand or earth-shattering, but it's Google demonstrating that, hey, their goal is to get you to data faster. So if that saves you one stop from having to hit some site's really crappy, slow-loading homepage and then going to search, they'll just let you search that site more directly and easier.
Kind of like when you're looking, like if you type McDonald verdict and you do a web search, it would say see more results in news. It would work just like that, except instead of clicking on the news tab, you click in that, and then it gives you the news results and takes you to the news search. But except it's doing a search on Frederick.com or prisoner.com instead.
The best example I could give, the one that I've seen a couple of people use and I haven't found another example yet, is if you do a search for YouTube, it'll give you a link to youtube.com. It'll give you a link to several of the other categories in YouTube, at YouTube. And it gives you the ability to search youtube.com. So if you try doing a search, if you search for YouTube, that'll give you an example of what this can do.
So Dan, two quick things. Your comment about why reinvent the wheel. There's very specific reasons why you want to have your own website search engine, because with ours, for example, we can assign a keyword to a sponsor that trumps other searches. So if you want to give a barbershop keyword barber, then they're going to come up number one in that search. We can absolutely control that. We can control the fact that we display the businesses first and then we display articles second, things like that. So we just have a lot of control with our website search engine. But we definitely want to implement this. So Dan, can you write that up for an enhancement?
Yeah,
After
absolutely.
You capture all the bugs.
Carry
or
on,
whatever you're
Alan.
doing?
I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. Any further thoughts on this? Okay. So next up is...
How was your Google Plus week?
Oh, don't tempt me, Craig.
What would Dan do if he got back and we said we've already wrapped the show?
Well, the problem is he's the one who actually needs to stop the broadcast.
Yeah, but we can get rid of the listener, the viewer.
So one of the features that all of us have... Why are you on this show, Craig? I know you ask yourself that every week, but sometimes
I keep
you really
trying.
answer.
I keep trying to not get an invite, but unfortunately, I keep getting the invite.
You can always decline the invite.
Yeah,
I mean, heaven knows, the rest of us ignore Dan all the time.
I guess you're right.
So, next story, on a totally unrelated subject, is that they've made some of the sharing features for Google Drive, which have always been, what's a generous way to describe them? Messy. Slightly easier, and by slightly easier, I mean not much easier. So, in the past, you've been able to share specifically with people, you permit them. Now you're able to permit them just based on a link. So you can create a link that people will be able to use and edit, even if you haven't permitted them specifically to the document. Have you taken a look at this yet, Cadeas?
I have, but we've already. I didn't understand how this was a new feature because we've already had this feature. It just looks like they moved it to an easier location. Because you've been able to choose the anyone with this link option. Like that's been here for a while.
Yeah,
Well,
but
wasn't
the editor
that-
with you.
I mean, it has been a feature for at least a year and a half
I thought
because
so.
I've used it. Yeah.
So you edit and view?
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was just view prior to this, but okay.
Well, it depends what you set the link to.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought it was
And
but you could be right.
the our document is editable by anyone who has a link.
I thought it was editable to anybody, and we just never told them what the link was.
So what do you? Okay,
Well,
what
exactly.
do we do?
I mean, yeah.
I think
It
it's
just
in the,
looks like to me that they moved this around. Is all they did. They just put it front and center, share with others. It doesn't look like they've made any real significant changes other than location of things.
I don't see
I
it.
think
Is it
they-
rolling
think
out
they
now? I
made-
don't see it.
I think they made it easier to find and
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
because people don't look like me. I'm admitting it. You know, I've been using Excel for 10 years and I still can't do a pivot table. So people don't put in the effort if they don't have to. So
But hang on, Cadeas. I don't know. I'm not seeing this change yet on my drive. So yours,
The timestamp is not updated on the document.
Let me do this then. I'll do it right now.
The sharing just got a little easier. Timestamp is still zeros.
yes, I know. That's because I haven't added it yet, because I was introducing it, Craig.
Oh, okay.
And I'm the only one who seems capable of doing timestamps.
Okay.
You just haven't refused yet.
Yeah. See, before the link was actually across the top. As soon as you hit the share button, the link was across the top.
I'm surprised they even announced this change.
Right, it's not really a change. It's just they changed the button. So as opposed to you being able to see and highlight and select the entire link, now you got the get clickable link button basically.
But here, no. Here's the thing. That link that used to be there across the top still required people to be permitted to it.
No, because there's a checkbox here that says who can access, and you can say anyone with the link. That's one of the options. And actually, I'm looking at our Google Plus Week setup right now, and it's anyone who has the link can edit, and you can adjust the settings. Yeah.
and I mean there are more private settings like you know you can enter someone's email address, for example. And you can give them only read access. They can't edit the document. So
They just made it look nicer, is what they did, as opposed to making it look with this long
Well, I
bar.
think they also made it slightly easier to use, because it really was, it was two things in two different places, and now they've consolidated it into one link, into one button. So that's a huge, massive non-story.
Hey, we've done a whole
So
segment
this next
when
one
they
is going
changed
to
the
be,
logo. Hang on,
Importing pictures
Alan.
to
Hang on
Google
one sec.
Plus Photos faster on your Chromebook. Yes, Dan.
Am I okay? I was gonna say, one thing that would be cool is if you had two links. Like if I said, I want a link that anyone who has this link can edit it, and I want a public link that anybody can view it.
Now
Because
you're making it more complex.
No,
so
it's
actually,
You can do that.
have that.
You can do that. You can make a document public and have a link.
But
You can always do
you-
that.
No, you can make it so anybody with the link can view, and then you have to specifically invite people who can edit. I wish I
No.
could just have. Two
I don't
links.
think so.
No, you also, I mean,
Dan,
here's
it's both
the
ways.
problem is that they actually made this more convoluted, is that they still have something called publish to the web, which is different than the sharing permissions.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. That's what you do. You publish it as a live web page, public web page, and then anybody can view it, and then you can still get a link for anybody that you want to be able to edit it.
Oh, okay, cool. So they've already implemented my idea.
Well, you could already do that.
Well, you've been able to do that for years. The
Yeah.
problem is nobody knew it because it's such a freaking convoluted way of doing things.
Yeah.
So this is an improvement. It's slightly
No!
less bad, or it's slightly more convoluted, or
Well, no, the thing that you want is done exactly the same.
okay.
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
So it's just as convoluted.
Okay, so you were about to a photo picture story.
Don't
So I'm
sound
going to
so
run to
shocked,
7-Eleven. I'm going to run to 7-Eleven and the bank and the post office. And I'll be back, and then we can finish the photo story.
Well, no, Dan, you have to stay here because it's also a Chromebook story. So we need you to tell us exactly how ghetto Chromebooks are.
So I have a question about Chromebooks before we even get into the photo thing. I have somebody that asked me about using a Chromebook for Hangouts. Which one is the best?
Okay, let's
right
do
now?
this. Let's do this topic after the photo thing, and anybody watching wants to give some suggestions in the comments. Let's make it a separate topic, because Pam, we had the same conversation earlier today, Craig. She wants to considering a Chromebook. So let's do a thing where we ask the viewers for comments, and I know Cadeas can weigh in. But Alan, let's do the photo thing first, and give folks time to think about the Chromebooks and tell us what they'd recommend. So go ahead, Alan.
Sure. So there have been some changes to the Photos app on Chromebook, which actually I haven't yet played with. But part of what they were doing as part of this, previously it was incredibly slow. It would take forever to scan the set of photos, forever to upload them. If things died in the middle of an upload, it was possible, but really a pain to deal with. Now it's getting a little bit better. And one of the things not mentioned here that even makes it a touch better is that now very soon, more Android phones will be detected when you plug them into a Chromebook and let you do this upload method. Does anybody actually... Cadeas, I know you've got a Chromebook. Have you ever tried to upload photos to Google+?
I have before I got the camera that I have, and it was too many steps for me. It worked, but it was just way too many steps. So I ended up, now my camera does it automatically, so I don't ever really use this app. I'm actually loading it up over here now to see what's changed.
Yeah, the impression I get is that it actually hasn't changed all that much, but that they actually have made it a little bit faster, a little bit more robust, because heaven knows it needed it. It was a pretty good example of some of the basic concept, but it was lacking in implementation.
This is only Chromebook?
This is only for Chromebook. You don't need it for other devices because you've already got. Well, for other devices, it doesn't have the same file access, which is a problem. Chromebooks have access to their file systems. Chrome on other devices doesn't really. You need to explicitly permit it. This is essentially the equivalent of auto backup from mobile devices. So you stick a memory card in, it detects it, and it just backs it up without you having to worry about it.
I would disable it unless I wanted to explicitly upload stuff, but that's just me.
And you use the word explicitly, intentionally there, don't you?
Yes. That's implicitly implied.
Right. Well, so the explicitness is implicit. Is that what you're saying?
By the way, we've already got one comment on our next topic, the Chromebook from Cy. So please keep them coming.
Please, quickly, because we're about to kill this topic.
If there's someone sitting next to our viewer and you'd like to weigh in as well,
we want to know the best Chromebook for Hangouts is what we're looking for.
Which I guess we might as well move to now.
All right, so Craig, tell us what you're looking for, and then Pam, and then we'll go to Cy's comment, and then the rest of you guys can weigh in.
So I was talking to someone who might start doing a show, a Hangout on Air based show, and they have a real old Windows machine, and they were thinking about getting another laptop, And so I want to know what is the best Chromebook for the job if they decide to go Chromebook, because I'm trying to talk them out of going Windows. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't think they want to spend the money to buy a Mac. So that's where we are.
Personal opinion, by the way, Chromebook for this is much better than a Mac.
You have both,
I
right,
mean,
Craig?
I was using a MacBook Pro when we first started, and it was okay. And when I when I tried to actually do anything with it, performance took nosedive really quickly.
But that was an old one, right?
Not that ancient. It was I don't know. It's about 4 or 5 years old at this point.
Come on.
How old's your MacBook, Craig?
Well, my Mac.
Aren't you the one telling us that Macs live forever?
No, my laptop is 4 years old, but I don't use it for Hangouts. I use this machine I'm on right now is 5 years old.
Ha.
But it was a pretty powerful desktop machine in its day. So
Still is, right? It's a Mac Pro. It's souped up with everything.
no,
you
it's
could...
not a Mac Pro. This one's a all-in-one, the 24-inch iMac, but it was the top of the line iMac at the time. But no, I mean, I think it's a stretch to say that anything is better than a brand new Mac. Because even the camera, Audrey just got a new laptop, and even the camera is awesome in it, the built-in camera. So, but anyway, we're on another subject. We want to find out about the best Chromebook for the job.
No, where I was going with this is talking about how for this purpose, I replaced it with a Chromebox, which beat the pants off it, hands down. Still does.
So you think a Chromebox is a better solution than a Chromebook?
Well, no, I'm saying I think a Chromebox is a better solution than a Mac.
Okay, so what is the best, if they want to go Chrome, what is the best solution within that sphere? Is it buying a good Chrome laptop, or is it buying a Chrome box?
Did I ask your thoughts? You've tested more of these more recently than I have.
I'm still kind of torn on the, I think it's the Dell or the Pixel. And the Pixel's pretty expensive, so a lot of people get...
Yeah, they don't want to spend that much money.
If you're going to pay the money for the Pixel, you might as well pay for a Mac.
Let's
Yeah,
say
exactly.
$500 is the limit. Let's call it $500.
Okay, so if $500 was a limit, I would definitely go with the Dell Chromebook 11, I think it is. And those are hard to come by now, but that's probably the best performing one right now out there, aside from the Pixel.
Okay. Are they on Amazon?
Yeah, I think they're $400 on Amazon. And then I think we had a comment, right? I'm not seeing the comment on my side, but Dan was saying we had a comment.
We do.
Yeah, we
Go
have a
ahead.
comment from Cy, where he's saying, points out that free 4 gig for life when you get an HP Chromebook.
Here's one for $273 on Amazon. What the heck is that? It's a Chromebook 11, 11.6 inch.
Who's the maker?
It says Dell Chromebook
Yeah.
11. It's $273 plus $30 shipping, almost $30 shipping. That's it. That's the best they have right now
That's what I would say.
in a Chromebook.
Besides the Pixel.
Is this an old model? Is this why it's discounted down? Because it says the list price is $450 and it says it's $273.
That I don't know why.
Okay.
I thought it was supposed to be $300.
It's probably used.
Gotcha.
Currently, Dell is not shipping out their
They're Chromebooks.
product. Yeah, their Chromebooks.
But-
They got too many orders, so they're not fulfilling them fast enough, so they quit selling them right now.
Are they like in between models or something? I mean, did they?
No, they're just selling outrageously fast. Everyone wants one.
And none of the competitors can make anything as good to compete with them?
Put the video in the chat, Kadeus, that you had me watch.
Okay, I'll find it, and then just let him watch that.
Yep.
I mean, there are others, as the video that Kadeus is about to share with us, actually put it in the show notes as well, Kadeus, points out is, yes, there are others, there are actually quite a few others, some of which are almost as good, but, going over the full range of, light and easy to carry and has a decent build quality and good CPU and, the whole range of stuff, the Dell happens to be the one that's at the top of the pack right now.
So it's sort of like comparing, for example, an iPhone to other phones. It's just significantly better than all the others.
I mean, the video talks about things like battery life, performance, and display. And when the reviewer has like 12 of them sitting in front of him, and he said, if you want the best of all three of those for this price, this is the one. Now, the other ones, he goes through a bunch of other ones. There's an Acer, there's a HP, there's a Samsung, and some of the others, and he tells you why they're not as good as the Dell. But, maybe one or another thing.
So do we think that we've gotten to the point where if they buy a decent Chromebook, it looks like most of them have like 4 gigs of RAM, the decent ones. If they get a decently spec'd out Chromebook, that it'll perform okay in a Hangout?
I think Chromebooks perform okay in the Hangout as it is, though.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. If they got
even if you get the crappy one, I believe it still perform pretty well. Because Charlie uses the C720. I think it's the very first Chromebook ever, and he uses it just fine. He goes to town hanging out with all the people back in Kansas and San Antonio. So
Really?
Say it again.
If that's the first one you're talking about the C48, right?
Okay, maybe it's the second one.
48.
Yeah, maybe it's the second one. It's the one with the hard drive, 320 gigabyte hard drive.
So last question on this. Let's say they get a Logitech C920 camera. Can they just plug that right into the USB and then it'll see it and
Just like a Mac.
Okay.
Captain
I
Euro
do
says
that all the time with my Chromebox.
Now, do we think that they're going to need to buy one of those cameras, or is the built-in camera pretty good these days in those?
Alan, you're using the built-in camera, right?
Well, I'm using the built-in camera on my Pixel,
Oh, okay.
so that's cheating.
The funny thing is that this computer that I have right here has 6 gigs of RAM, and it's a Intel i5 running Windows 7, and I have to close every tab except one when I do Hangouts.
Well, Windows is a bag of hurt, though.
Windows itself is providing a ton of overhead.
That's what I was going to ask you. How much bloat is there in Windows versus Chrome?
Well, here's
OS.
to give you an example of that. I believe it is Acer just came out or is about to come out with what everyone was calling last week a Chromebook killer. So this was going to be an Acer built on almost the same platform as Acer's Chromebook, but it was going to have a little bit faster CPU and twice the hard disk size, and I believe it was going to have a little bit more memory, and it was going to be at the same price, and it was going to run Windows 8.1. And everyone was saying, look, you're going to be able to get a better machine running Windows than this Chromebook running Chrome OS. And that was fine until I pointed out that if they had tried to run Windows on the same machine, on the exact same machine as the Chrome OS machine, Windows wouldn't turn on because the minimum specs were too low. So the specs that was a perfectly capable Chrome OS box were lower than the minimum specs for Windows 8.1. the Windows 8.1 needs a lot more resources just to start. Forget trying to do anything.
Now I'm
Well, I
noticing
mean,
here
this
that
shouldn't seem like a shock to anyone, though. I mean,
I'm noticing one more thing here. I'm noticing that most of these are 2 gigabytes of RAM now that I look. Is that acceptable on a Chromebook? Is that enough?
I think the Dell's 4.
Yeah, but I'm saying most of these other ones, if they can't get a Dell.
In most cases, it's not going to be as big a problem. It depends on what you're running and how much you're running. If you've got a billion tabs open and you've got them all doing pretty intensive stuff, yeah, maybe. But you've got to remember also it's going to be swapping out the memory to a solid-state drive in most cases.
Yeah, okay. Here's a Samsung that has 4 gigs. That's $300. Samsung Chromebook 2, they call it.
Right, and that one, there's something about that one. It uses a chip that is similar to what they use in their tablets.
Right, that's one of the things that I was going to say next, is make sure that it actually uses an Intel chip. Was one of the recommendations from the video.
Okay, let me do a few comments here, and okay, so we have Sai suggested the 4G 8 free for life thing, which I think you guys mentioned, and then unrelated question from Gary: how many Android Wears are coming out? I think Best Buy just today.
We'll be covering all of that Monday night,
yeah,
9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Kevin Bryan: has Google ever given a good explanation of why the Chrome box is not sold in the Google Play Store? Do we know that, Alan?
I've never heard an explanation. I didn't even know it wasn't being sold.
Yeah, no, it's being sold, but it's not being sold on the Google Play stores. But if you Google search it, it still links to a Google property at a separate site that's actually selling the Chrome box. It was very weird. I didn't understand that. I've been meaning to figure that out too.
The only thing I can guess is that they're actually aiming the Chrome box at their enterprise customers. I mean, because for example, their Google Hangout box, which is essentially a Chrome box, which is a Chrome box.
And that's for business. That's
well, that's basically a conference room in a box. It's your video conferencing room in a box.
How much is the Chrome box?
Chrome boxes you can get
$329.
How much, Cadeas?
About $329 last time I looked in it.
That's the equivalent of a Mac Mini, right? That's like it doesn't include
no,
a
Mac
keyboard.
Minis
or
are about
anything.
$699.
I mean, as far as the fact that it doesn't have a keyboard, mouse, or anything,
Right.
It's just the guts.
Yeah,
Are those more souped up?
It's a little more robust, right? I would think at that price point, it's probably a little more powerful than these laptops, correct?
I have to look and compare.
Okay, so let me get through the rest of these real quick. Jeff Bond says pixels are amazing. The screen, the keyboard, the mouse pad, processing mic, and sound. Perfect CB. I'm sure he's saying there, and great for Hangouts, Helpouts. I think I used mine for at least 4 years, so it's a worthy long-term investment. That's a whole separate price point, though, right, Alan? What are those, $1,200 or something?
Yeah, $1,200.
So if you're going to spend that kind of money, there's probably some other options you'd consider. Samsung, Captain Euro says, stop selling the Chromebooks over here because the demand wasn't there. That's interesting. Dell over here stopped selling them because there was too much demand. One of them.
Well, they might not have made that many of them.
And then the HP Chromebook 14 for under $400 with free 4G, I think, is the best bang for the buck. Depends on the use case scenario. This is something she's just going to keep in her apartment. Then, but then maybe she'll be motivated to take it to the coffee shop or what have you. If she got free 4G. I'm not sure how much you get, Sai. How much 4G do you get? I'm sure it's metered. The Dell may outperform, but that free internet, I think, bumps it over the edge.
It was $200 per month
From T-Mobile.
from T-Mobile.
So that's
So
more than
just
enough
for email. It's just really for email and
maybe
stuff like
Facebook messages, perhaps, depending on, like Facebook Messenger or the equivalent, and email and stuff like that. Or for, occasional use. I mean, you're not going out every day with this. So, okay. And he says, correction, Samsung is apparently going to stop selling laptops, period, here, and focus more on their tablets. Okay, so Alan, where were we going?
Well, the other thing I wanted to ask is, you mentioned, we know that Pam, you were looking into Chromebooks. You want to talk about your thoughts and reasons for doing so?
My biggest reason is Hangouts is such a resource hog, and Chrome is such a resource hog. So if I have them both open, and the show notes, 140 pages, I open that and my computer starts, the fan goes on high, and if I have all three of them, and if I try to do look at the YouTube comments, if sometimes this comment tracker doesn't stay up to date or whatever, it stops about halfway through the show, I can't do anything but sit in the Hangout. I can't read one of the articles. I can't do any of that stuff without risking this thing crashing. So it's either a Chromebook, or I figure out how to open up this never before opened Dell that I've had for 3 years and put in a solid state if it'll handle it. I got to do something. Or two computers, and so I figured I could do Hangouts with the Chromebook, and if it won't handle the different tabs or whatever, at least I'll have the laptop to read stories and stuff like that during the show. So that's the entire reason. That's why I don't want to spend a lot of money.
No, that makes perfect sense. It's funny. I mean, I first started running the Chromebox because my Mac was performing so poorly, and my initial use for it was just for the show. And it no longer lives in the room that it used to live in. It's been moved into the living room. It's now used for a lot of other things besides Hangouts. Similarly, my Pixel, when I first got it, was used for Hangouts and occasionally for browsing. And now it's I won't say it's my main work machine, because it's not. But that's because I do software development. But I'm doing more and more software development with my Pixel. So it's becoming a major workhorse for me.
Because you can do it in the cloud?
Because I can do it in the cloud, and because more and more applications are letting me do that sort of thing without using the cloud. So there is a software development tool that I can run on the Pixel. Doesn't go to the cloud. It can go to the cloud when I tell it to, but it can do things totally locally. So more and more I'm able to use Chrome OS devices for a lot of what I do, which, is pretty impressive for a ghetto machine. What do you think, Dan?
Perhaps that was my Don Imus moment.
But it's a top of the line unit he's got.
My Chromebox was not a top of the line unit.
I would suspect that the Chromeboxes are more powerful because the box itself is more money than these laptops. Most of them are $300. So
yeah, the Chromebox, when we looked at it at the time, some of the biggest features it had is it had more USB and display ports, so it could handle multiple monitors better than the laptops could. It had but only a slightly more powerful CPU compared to the other devices of the time. And now it's not a more powerful CPU. It's been outclassed at this point. I think it might have had more memory, but I wouldn't swear to it.
Yeah.
It was not a dramatically more powerful box. And that's part of the reason why it wasn't selling very well. Is that it was more expensive, but wasn't you didn't get a lot more out of it. You got a little more out of it, but not where you would expect to.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they don't make more of these that are like right around like the $500 price point and bump things up a little bit in the specs. Like most of these are $300-400, right, in that range from what I'm looking at right now on Amazon. It seems like if they added like another $100 and got it up to around $479 or $499 or something like that, they could really up their game with it. and have
Well, there's two reasons for that, Craig. The first is you have to remember that it used to be that Chromebooks were $200, and when they started creeping up above that, everyone was going, "Oh, these are going to be failures because nobody's going to buy a Chromebook for more than $200." So the fact that you're seeing them as high as 400, that's surprising a lot of people. The second is that you don't get a lot of additional performance for the money. You get some. I'm not going to say you don't. But for how most people use Chromebooks, you don't get a lot more out of it. Whereas, when you spend that extra money on, well, when you spend an equivalent amount of extra money, let's put it that way, for a Windows device, you're now able to actually run 3 programs at once. When you're spending that extra money for, when you're spending an equivalent amount of extra money, not $100 more, when you're spending an equivalent amount of extra money on an OS X compatible device, you're able to, actually edit a movie. You don't have those things yet on Chrome OS.
Now, when you say yet, how long do you think it'll be before you start seeing more of those things on Chrome OS?
I think we're seeing more and more of those things every day, to be honest.
But only when those things are in the cloud.
No,
he's doing a lot of stuff locally, he said.
I'm doing more and more stuff locally, Dan. Now, mind you, I do think that, I'd really like to see the cloud-based video editor. I'd like to see a working video editor for Chrome OS already. It's really ticking me off that nobody's done that yet. But I have graphics editors that run really well on Chrome OS. It relies on the cloud right now, but largely that's because that's where they've been putting the effort in.
Yeah, I just think that they need to come out with one that has a bigger solid-state hard drive, that has more RAM, that does allow people to do more stuff locally and store some more stuff locally. Just totally relying on the cloud I think that they could broaden their market, because there are people that are scared of that concept and or don't have fast enough internet everywhere they are, have whatever issues, yet don't want to buy a Windows machine and are still willing to spend the money, $400 or $500 to buy a good machine. I think they could broaden their appeal.
Here's some of the brilliance of how it works, though. So, for example, yes, if you don't have broadband internet everywhere, you might have this gut feeling like you need to carry it all around with you. But what if it knows that the most common documents that you use, or the 100 most recently used documents, and I use the term documents very broadly there. It could be the 100 most recently used files, are on your local device, and everything else is available on the cloud. And if you need something, it essentially moves it in. So think of it as swapping, using the cloud as an external dynamic hard drive. That's what I do now with a lot of my files. I don't know what's sitting on this machine. All I know is the 100 most recent ones are there. So a presentation that I'm giving tomorrow, I can edit it on the train because I've edited it today. It'll be there locally tomorrow. And that's all magic to me. So I think it's smart uses of the network and smart uses of the cloud and transparent uses of the cloud are going to be some of what really makes it happen. And that's why you're seeing enterprise, I'm using the word enterprise, why you're seeing companies are loving the Chromebooks, because they're giving a lot of power for what they need, which is mostly, docs and spreadsheets and presentations, for a really affordable price. And the cloud stuff is just magic. They don't have to think about it.
Question, Alan. I'm looking here at this article. Dell has announced 2 Chrome boxes. A $179 Chrome box and a $999 Chromebox for meetings, which I guess is a competitor or in partnership with Google. I'm not sure which.
I would have assumed that is the Chromebox for meetings. That is the Hangouts.
Yeah,
one.
it says it's a video conferencing solution out of the box, and this is an article from yesterday at PC World. But what Craig is talking about, to be able to have like some more storage and that sort of thing, could you hook up? Is there such a thing as an external SSD that you could hook up to a
there's an
Chromebox if you wanted to
it-
build out a really badass desktop system, running Chrome OS?
You can certainly add an external hard drive through USB, but that's a USB drive. That's slower, and it's not integrated, and it's got issues. But if that's what you need, you can certainly do it. That's just an external USB drive. Simple, straightforward. Just works.
Of course, you don't want to go too crazy, because at some point you have to remember that the reason he's looking at this is because this young lady's, or whoever it is on a budget. And that's why we're looking at the Chrome thing, because the Hangouts work really well on a Chromebook, and they're very affordable.
Yeah, well, they have an older Chromebook already. That's like, I think they said it's like 4 years old. So we're going to do a test Hangout and see how well it works. Because they asked me the question, they said, can we use a Chromebook? And I asked them how old it was, and they told me, it's pretty old. So that's why I was wondering, if we do the test and it turns out it isn't that great, then I just want to be prepared to tell them, yeah, a newer Chromebook will do the job for you.
When did they first come out? I can't believe it's been 4 years.
How long has it been, Alan?
4 years sounds about right. I mean, I got mine at I/O 2012,
But that was a
and
Pixel,
by then
right?
it was considered old technology.
Okay. All right. Are we good on that?
So, we have another comment from Jeff Bond. The Dell Chromeboxes use a Celeron or i3 processor. The Google Chromebox has a fat i7 in it. That's the difference. So I assume I'm not sure what he means by Google Chromebox. He might mean the Hangout Chromebox. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that does have a fast CPU in it.
I think the Dell Chromebox for meetings has an i7
That would make sense.
for $1,000. My God. It should. Okay, so there we go.
If I remember correctly, the Chromebox for meetings also included the display, though.
Yeah, they
It
said it was
actually really
everything
was
you need.
everything out of a box.
Of course, you need one for each place, each participant. Well, not necessarily.
No.
I mean, you could join from your Chromebook, but they could have that in like the conference room.
Right. Well, that's the point. Is that this is a setup for a conference room, and other people can join using their desktops or whatever. And again, as we talked about when this first came out, this is a setup that Google uses. Every single conference room in Google worldwide has essentially this setup. This is how they work with each other. This is how they collaborate.
As in the cloud as Google is, I'm surprised they even have conference rooms.
Well, I mean, they like having the ability to meet in person and having groups of people meet in person.
Something that
And interact with other groups. Yeah.
Right.
Something that Marissa Mayer carried over to Yahoo to unanimous praise. Okay, so next up is how to get support for Google Drive.
This was a really, really bizarre story, and it's a new page at their support that literally says, how to get support for Google Drive. We're here and we'd love to help. So they then go through some of the various ways that they do so, including obvious ones like their help center. You go to support.google.com/drive. You've got assorted help stuff there. There's a troubleshooting section there. There's links to the product forum, which is where the top contributors and other people who are there can help you with problems that you have. It's a community-driven help system. There's how to report a bug. But the most shocking thing to me about this is all the way at the bottom. At the end, they say, if you'd like to speak or chat with the customer service agent, visit our live support page and click on the Phone Us button. And live support's available for 12 hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time in English. But it kind of floored me to find out, look, you can now actually talk to somebody about problems you're having with Drive.
Even at the
This
free
is Google.
tier?
What was that?
Even at the free tier?
Apparently so.
This reminds me of WordPress. Remember WordPress? There was an 800 number. You'd call them up. You could ask them about any problem you were having with WordPress back in the DOS days. They wouldn't ask you for a serial number if you bought it within a year or anything. They just answer your question. And then there was a race to the bottom for prices. And now you don't get that kind of support with software usually. You often get it with hardware because typically once you get it working, you know, in the first day or so, then you don't ever call them again. So it's not a big deal. But that's neat to see Google.
So that makes
Doing
me
that.
wonder if maybe they're positioning this for business. Because they don't care. They don't care about you and, well, they don't care about me because I don't buy anything. And I have all that shit turned off that you know, allows Google to market directly to me and all that other stuff. So they would actually prefer if I quit using their products. But you know, they care about the businesses. They care about AdSense. They care about, you know, the people who pay for whatever services. So
Here's the thing, though, Pam. I'd agree with you, and I think that's what this was. If this was only available to their apps customers, or to what they now call their Google at Work customers, people who are paying them for Drive. But this is available to us, who are paying nothing for Drive.
well, so I have an answer for that too, although it's, you know, again, speculation. It could be they're testing it, right? They put it down at the bottom of the page, see how many calls they get, see how it works out, you know, return on investment type of thing. And just when we all love it, they're going to kill it.
Or make it a paid feature.
Well, eventually we're all going to end up paying because we're eventually going to fill up our drives. And would you rather go through and find everything and delete it, or would you rather or archive it, or would you rather pay $5 a month? I just ended up, I'll pay $5
Well,
a
but here's
month.
the other-
I got more money than time.
And here's the other brilliant thing about Google Drive, remember. If you're using Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Presentations, those don't take up any space. None.
Which means they're perfectly suited for a Chromebook.
Well, they don't take up any space on Google's. They don't charge you for space in the cloud.
Oh, okay. I see what yeah, that's right. So that doesn't
You know,
count
so-
against your limit is what you're saying.
Right. So basically, if you convert your Microsoft Doc to a Google Doc, it doesn't take up any space.
But your email attachments do, correct?
So are you
If you
saying
do
that,
them as attachments, not as references to this doc, which you can.
are you saying if you buy a Chromebook, are you saying anybody that uses Google Docs? Those
Anybody that uses Google Docs, if you go edit a Google Doc right now, their word processing, you can make 100 pages. You can write a novel in this. You can cut and paste the Gutenberg Bible into a Google Doc, and if it doesn't crash, it will take up no space as far as you're concerned.
Wow.
I did a similar thing once. I was curious. Someone said there was no limit on a Google Plus post. I think they've even said that. So I took the full text of War and Peace and attempted to paste it into a Google Plus post, and it didn't like it. After like 10 minutes, you know, I was just curious if I could do it. I said, "This is a test, you know. Whatever book, you know, was the best of times, it was the worst of times. You know, the whole thing from the Gutenberg Project, just for grins. Obviously, Craig will attest that I have too much free time."
And also it was definitely a test for a ghetto Windows machine to try even doing that.
I was in the cloud,
So there's
buddy.
that.
It was my supercharged internet. Okay, so next up, Google's working on a super fast quantum computer chip capable of artificial intelligence. And this makes me think of that wonderful quote from the Tesla chairman, founder Elon Musk, who's just such a PR genius. He just says these wild, outlandish things and gets quoted. Richard Branson's good at this as well. They'll say something crazy, and then everyone shares it, and it's like a thing that everyone talks about for 24 hours. And he said that, you know, one day machines are going to be really dangerous and take over the world or something, some kind of Terminator scenario. And anyway, so that happened. But I like the art on this story. It was really good because you had the Google logo static and you had some guy blurred running in front of it, kind of implied something there. What's the deal here? When I think of quantum, I think of that movie or the book Timeline. I think it was by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park.
Great book. Yeah.
Fantastic
Timeline.
book. The movie
Yeah.
was okay, but the book was fantastic. I recommend it. Michael Crichton, the guy who wrote Jurassic Park, the book's called Timeline. I think it's available at hachette.com. Just kidding.
Because Michael Crichton is shockingly accurate when it comes to technology.
They made that Dolly the Sheep thing.
Give it time. Give it time.
I'm just
What?
hoping they can't clone Craig. If I had more than one Craig trolling me.
Well, you know that the basically the thing is, if you live long enough, you can live forever. But the question is, are you going to be able to live that long?
Well, our bodies are actually designed to live about 30, 35. And that's why we start getting sick. If you die, I mean, you don't get sick before 30, but this is not entirely on the subject of quantum artificial intelligence. So, do you know, Alan, what was the biggest single advance that caused humans to go from living about 30 to living about 50 or 60?
Soap.
Exactly. Hygiene. When they figured out if you clean yourself, the germs and stuff, that was the single biggest medical advance in human history. So there.
Dan?
Yes, Dad?
If you didn't get sick before 30, then there wouldn't be any reason to have vaccines, would there? Right?
I'm just saying that
Shield.
at the
Remember,
dawn
Dan
of
is
hygiene,
also not a doctor.
once the first Dove beauty bar commercial hit, human life expectancy doubled. There are many, many things that, but the single biggest thing was that. But anyway, I think I'm partially digressing from our topic.
You think?
Yeah. So, Alan, I have no clue about this.
So here's what it fundamentally boils down to. You can say they're working on quantum chips. Yeah, they've hired artificial intelligence researchers. Blah, 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 whatever. Okay? That's not what the story really is. The story really is that Google is feeling threatened. And they're feeling very threatened in their core business, and that's search and providing monetization of search. And this is an attempt for them to try to keep up with other companies, namely IBM, who are preparing to trounce them in that field.
I think it's a lot more than just IBM. They're going
IBM's the leader in it, though.
Yeah,
IBM is way ahead of everybody else.
they're going to get it big time if Apple does half of the things that I think they're going to do on Tuesday. It's just going to portend where we're headed, because if they get the purchasing thing down, where you can just use your phone to make all your purchases, and if they improve Siri significantly, which I think they're going to do that as well, and I can just tell Siri,
Siri's a world of hurt.
and I can just tell Siri, I want an electric razor, and Siri comes back and says, all right, you always buy the best. Here's the 3 best, and I can have...
Once again, Craig, you're 10 years behind in your thinking. I'm sorry.
I've just totally disintermediated Google. I've just disintermediated Amazon. I've disintermediated all of them if I just buy it directly from her and she ships it to my house and I pay
Wouldn't
for it
Apple
with my
first
phone.
need to know how to do search?
Say again?
Wouldn't Apple first need to know how to do search before they can send you, the top 3 results for a
Well,
specific
but
brand?
Anthony, give Apple credit. I mean, they've almost figured out maps. So, clearly search is the next place for them to go. But honestly, if Apple is even doing that, no, they're still 10 years behind. Real artificial intelligence.
They've got
will
all the money in
understand-
the world. They've got all the money in the world, and they've got time. They can do it. I'm just saying. I predicted on this show a couple of years ago that I gave Google about another 5 to 10 years, and that's still the timeline that I give them. That's their.
You also
window.
gave Apple 5 to 10 years.
If Apple doesn't figure it out, somebody else will. That's right. Apple's going to have a big problem. But here's the deal with Apple. Everybody keeps giving them more runway. I mean, it's amazing how much Android, for example, has been a cluster. You know what? I mean, it's just totally imploding. Samsung is like going down the freaking tubes.
Oh
And it's all
my
because
God.
they've made all these stupid decisions, right, and run out all these junky phones. And so they keep giving Apple all this additional runway. So Apple might have 15 years. I might have to.
Companies come and go. Anthony Clouser can talk about Kodak, which used to dominate. I could talk about Avtex, which used to dominate here. Anybody in Detroit can sit you down for a few hours until you're basically in tears. But this is. I'm not sure. I think we've gone off track again.
Again? When were we on track?
Oh, I actually started being on track, and you started talking about Apple, which is so far off track, it's not funny.
Alan is employing Anthony's lighting strategy. So, okay, so Google's working on a super fast quantum computer chip capable of artificial intelligence.
So how is this going to save them, Alan? Outline how this thing is going to save them.
So basically, this is basically their attempt at starting to compete against Watson. It's really what it fundamentally boils down to. Watson is set to roll all over Google, and Google knows it, so they're beefing up their research labs to do essentially the same thing that Watson is doing.
Now, how is IBM going to implement Watson and roll all over Google?
It's implemented. It's there. Google is essentially going into fields, into verticals. They're going into industries and saying, hey, we can teach Watson everything about your industry.
You just said Google. You meant
I meant IBM, sorry.
Okay.
IBM is going into verticals and saying, we can teach Watson everything about your industry, and it will be able to answer any question you have about your industry.
Okay.
Is your camera on, Alan?
Yeah, it seems to be having a problem at the moment, I guess. Because it looks like it's working for me.
Now, see, I get your profile picture. Before, I was just getting a black rectangle.
Oh, that's interesting. So,
What is Watson? Is it a one big giant thing, or like a cluster of things, or what's? And it's had the same name for a long time, right?
Watson's a fundamental technology. It's the technology that IBM uses for their adaptive learning systems.
Oh, I thought it was just some giant supercomputer named Watson.
Well, no, it's not this, chunk of metal that you roll into the studios at Jeopardy.
That's what I was thinking. I think it was like some badass thing, like the Death Star kind of computer.
Oh, it's pretty badass. But
Greetings, Professor Falcon. Would you like to play a game? Sort of, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's pretty badass, but in a lot of ways it looks just like every other IBM computer out there.
But it's a thing, or it's like a line of things. Is there like some big freaking thing that's Watson, and it's like guards around it and shit?
There is not one machine called Watson. It's a set of machines and a set of technologies.
I'd be afraid to get too close to it. They're gonna make 3 Terminator movies, coming up. I'm just saying.
And
They're going to make new Terminator movies?
Yeah, three new ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you funning me?
No, I just saw a tweet. Has to be true.
Of course they're going to make 3 more because, they've got no freaking new ideas, just like everyone on this show.
By the way,
is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to be using a walker or what?
he still could kick any of our asses except Pam. So I'm going to tell you what, though. Speaking of Twitter, this is not entirely related to quantum physics, but speaking of Twitter, the CFO said they are going to make it a filtered stream, or what's the word, like Facebook and Google Plus do, where it's not just a timeline, it's a this thing got more interaction.
So we're not going to see all the posts. They're going to censor the posts, is what you're
That's a
talking
disaster. The only reason I look at Twitter is because I want to see the news as it happens. I might follow 5 people who are at the scene of some news event I'm interested in, like the McDonald trial, for example. I followed, you follow 6 or 7 of the key journalists, and then you unfollow them afterward. Sorry, I'm just being honest. And then you can get the latest stuff, like what's the verdict, what's the count 4 verdict, you know what I mean? And that's the only reason anyone uses Twitter in my world. I'm sure others use it for other things, but that would be a disaster. A curated stream. If Twitter switches to that, I'll be so freaking pissed, and they will invite a competitor immediately. So anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think that a competitor will step in, because I think that space is going to just go away anyway. I think it's.
Oh, I don't think so. There's a big demand.
It's a has-been thing. I mean,
No.
already
There's
losing
nothing that does what it
relevancy.
does. That's bullshit. There's nothing that does what it does. Where I can quickly, it's often the only way to communicate with someone. They could be at the scene. It's real fast. It's low, no bloat. A journalist, the guy live tweeted the freaking.
Yeah, but Dan, you're a
Bin
news
Laden.
junkie, right? Yeah, for news junkies, yeah, it's great. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but you
I'm
couldn't
just
care
saying,
less about
average
news.
people, I think, are already starting to go away from Twitter. I don't think Twitter's going to be a thing.
I've been going away from Twitter for ages.
Yeah,
That's not new.
I think
It's a
going to
niche
die.
thing.
I think it's going to die. It had its run.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's going to settle into a niche thing.
Yeah, I mean, it'll stick around for quite a while. Yeah, absolutely, but it'll just slowly.
You've predicted
fade
the
away.
demise of everything,
Pretty much.
except area guys, which will definitely endure.
Well, eventually he has
Well,
to be
Area
right
Guides
about one.
predates all of these things. It was here before all of them. It'll be here after they're all gone. Sure. So there's that.
Travis Sanford, it's been a while since I've seen Craig on the show taking Alan and Cadeas off the rails.
You'll be able to watch this show again because this is being recorded, right, Dan?
Yeah.
So they'll be able to watch this over and over again.
Our live viewer counts in the double digits.
Can you imagine somebody having so little of a life that they would watch this show over and over again?
Like a hula hoop.
Now, hey, I got to tell you, that video that Audrey released the other day, and you can go to facebook.com/hoopinglive, facebook.com/hoopinglive. I watched that thing 30 times. I have to admit. I don't mind admitting publicly. I watched the video 30 times. It is that good.
Okay, so obviously none of us are going to talk about quantum computer chips. Google rebrands its enterprise business services as Google for Work. Are we talking like apps, or are we talking like their Amazon Web Service equivalent? What are we talking about here?
We're talking about apps.
Doesn't that? I mean, they're making big forays into the education market. Is that the best name they could have used?
Well, there's a different spin-off for that. So basically, this takes Google.
Dan, you see, those are called Google for Education.
Ah,
This is Google for Work.
Yeah, and remember, Dan, if they don't like the name, just give them a week or two and they'll change it.
Alan's talking to me like I'm a foreigner. He thinks if you just say the English slowly enough, they'll understand.
If you listen to me carefully, Dan.
Bathroom. Bathroom.
You need to get Cadeas right now.
Cadeas is doing a face palm.
So, Cadeos, how was your Google Plus week?
Oh my God! All right, so
So basically, Google just changed their name. That's it.
This is a
They
topic.
changed their name. This isn't even that big a surprise because they had already started using the For Work moniker back at I/O.
For a while, yeah.
This is a bigger topic for the show than when they switched the Google Plus logo to the new one. So there's literally nothing to say about this at all.
We said it. They changed their name.
Okay.
Do we know how much headway Google is making into business and education? And I'm sure they're displacing Windows, right, in order to do so. Are they?
Again, if we go, yes, we do. Pam, go find that article about Chromebooks, about Dell stopping their Chromebook sales. I mean, if you look at the reason why Dell is cutting it off is because Chromebook sales are up. What was it? 230% over last year.
They just temporarily shut it down, right? Because they couldn't take.
Right.
They want to take
Yeah.
orders and have disappointed people.
Right, but Chromebook as a whole, sales are up 230%, and most of those are to schools and businesses.
Which is the ideal environment for that.
So, but my point is that the number they started with to go up 200 and something might have been low. I don't know what that number was. So, from a percentage standpoint, do we know how much they're eating into Windows
Yeah.
market share?
You've seen
Oh,
the
we're
numbers. Let's see if I can find
I'm
it again.
seeing. I can tell you this. I know when Harold Carey was on, we discussed this, and he said like a bunch of school districts near him. I'm seeing the same thing. We've had articles about. I think the Frederick County, Virginia school system is implementing them, and they're starting at whatever grade, like 9th or 10th grade, and then they're going to add a second grade next year, and within 4 years they'll all have one to minimize their cost. And they love that the Google Apps, the collaboration that entails, and the supervision the teachers can have, the parents can look at stuff. It's really, and they're really doing a good job supporting the schools. And it's just, frankly, I mean, if you wanted to outfit Macs, which were a big deal for education 20 years ago, but the cost of a Chromebook, now that we have good Wi-Fi in public schools and private schools, is you can
Okay,
get a lot
Craig.
more bang for your buck. Alan?
Here are some numbers for you, courtesy of, I'm looking at PC World, who is quoting NPD. Chromebooks accounted for 35% of all U.S. commercial laptop shipments to date in 2014, jumping more than 250% compared to same period last year. Chromebooks accounted for 5 to 6% of overall consumer laptop sales in the period, and that number is predicted to rise. So we're talking a class of that didn't exist a few years ago is accounting for 5 to 6% of all sales,
Yeah, I would guess.
and 35% of all. How did they phrase it? 35% of all commercial sales.
Yeah,
So they
my
were,
guess
they were
is that
14% before.
my guess is they're eating more into Windows than they are into Mac and Apple.
I'm sure on the business side they're more eating into Windows. There's no doubt about that. What I didn't see in this one, and what I've seen a lot of anecdotal stories. I want to actually try to find some real numbers. Is they're beginning to eat into Apple in schools on the iPad. Because a lot of school districts tried launching iPads. You might remember a few years ago there was huge, every school district is requiring iPads or buying iPads. And I think a lot of them are realizing that might not have been a good choice.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good choice because they're way too expensive for what you get.
They're way too expensive. You don't get the same bang for the buck. There's a lot more that you can do with a Chromebook than you can over an iPad.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of school districts that went the iPad route are reconsidering that at this point.
Yeah, you want a physical keyboard for a student's computing device
Why?
because it would be stupid not to have one. How can you write a term paper on an iPad? You can get a peripheral, but I mean, at what point? How much money are you going to spend? It's all contained for $200 or $300.
Dan, you're just old.
Elaborate.
Never rule out the fact that kids can probably use an iPad faster than you can. So while you might feel comfortable with the keyboard, a teenager might feel more comfortable with the virtual keyboard.
Well, then you need to train them how to use a regular keyboard because that's
I don't think they're
stupid.
even teaching
Why?
them typing anymore. Are they? Are they teaching typing in school anymore?
Are we
Yeah,
going to
they
go
probably
from QWERTY
are,
to two-finger typing on an iPad
What makes you think they're doing two-finger typing on an iPad?
or whatever they're doing? I don't know.
That's my point. You don't know.
No, I stand by. I think if I were outfitting a class, I think they'd be better off with a physical keyboard and some reasonable sized monitor.
Yeah,
Um,
and please tell me that you're trolling Dan.
Well, no, I'm trolling Dan only in the sense. Well, I am trolling Dan, but only in the sense that I think we're underestimating what kids can and are doing with these devices.
Yeah,
Clearly,
kids
that's the
can type.
case.
I can tell you
But
right
I can
now,
tell you,
kids
I'm a
can type
former
really
classroom
fast.
high school teacher. I'm a former real high school teacher.
Yeah,
some
but
middle
Dan,
school,
I'm
mainly high
telling you right
school.
now, kids can type really fast.
Oh,
on these
I
mobile devices.
absolutely. But but you know, they can also smoke pot after school. But you shouldn't teach them that. And you know, you're supposed to teach them.
But I don't think they're
how to
teaching them
type and-
typing anymore in school. Do you think they are?
No.
I don't think they're teaching them much of anything in school anymore.
I don't think
Dan,
you
tell you
need
the
to
truth.
though, Craig. They're so darn fast now because they're used to be.
But they're not using keyboards, Dan.
Yeah, the
They're
kids can
phones,
type.
man. They're phones.
I have a video from like 4 or 5 years ago of this. She's probably 12 years old or something. She had a cell phone in each hand, and she was texting somebody on one phone and texting somebody on the. She was having conversations back and forth
Oh my God.
using each hand independently, and I couldn't believe how fast she was typing.
That's
And
the
she was
one that
using-
you need. Those special walking lanes. That warning.
Yeah,
if you
and
walk
she
in
was
this
using
lane, you
one
can be
hand
hit
for
by a
each
texter.
device.
So,
These kids, I'm telling you, they can type fast on these things.
I
So
agree.
they're
I
good.
can see that for sure, but I don't think that's the best choice for a
Why
all-purpose
not?
school.
Just justify yourself, Dan. Why not?
Because I mean, I don't know what the difference between an iPad is and my tablet, but the only time I use
Well,
my
there's
tablet.
differences between ice cream and you know what.
But I mean, I have desktops. I have 3 desktops. I have a laptop, and I have a tablet, and I have a phablet phone, and they all have different use cases. I would never ever, and I can type damn fast. I'm a reporter, but I would never try, unless I absolutely had to type any kind of lengthy document or do a spreadsheet on any kind of device other than a laptop or preferably a desktop with a real keyboard. It's just not efficient. It's not efficiently designed for that.
Yeah, but these kids, I think, are a lot faster doing that stuff, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. This is
I
like
agree.
saying-
I'm sure that some 13-year-old is going to blow me out of the water in a contest of who can text quicker.
So why are you forcing them to use technology that they consider ancient? Why are we still on this subject?
wait. Before we,
Go, Anthony.
to get back on topic, if the Chromebooks are approximately in year 4 of their lifespan, those statistics that you brought up, and I doubt that you know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyways. Do we know how those compare to like year 4 of netbook sales and penetration?
Didn't netbooks collapse by year
Ex-
4 because everyone
well,
realized
that's-
how crappy they were?
Oh, that was my point. Yeah, I mean, potentially my point is this still a fad, or is it past being a fad?
No, because these aren't as crappy as netbooks were. Netbooks were really crappy. These things are just marginally crappy.
Let's put it this way. Microsoft sees these as a threat.
Okay, Alan, so what you're saying is if some kid, some teenager who's very into tech goes home in their bedroom and they've got a Mac Pro or MacBook Pro,
What makes you think they have a MacBook Pro?
I'm drawing a hypothetical. In your world, what you're saying is that this teenager comes home and they are a textaholic. They got game on the key with the 2-finger typing or whatever, sideways with the mini QWERTY keyboard. You're saying that kid, if he or she has to write a term paper, that they're going to shove the MacBook aside and they're going to get out their iPad and they're going to find that a more pleasurable experience to write a 4,000 word paper, I think you're out of your freaking mind. That kid's going to be
Yeah,
on the
but
physical
Dan,
keyboard.
we're not talking about exceptional people that are buying Macintosh products. Those are obviously in the 1%.
What I'm getting to, Craig, I'm getting
highly,
to.
intelligent and so on and so
Whoa!
forth.
You heard it here. Craig admits Mac is for the 1%. Back
That's
to
right.
you, Dan.
We're talking about the average student who basically is being taught nothing in the public schools these days. Especially, they're not taught how to type. That's for sure. And they learned on their own, and they learned how to type on these mobile devices rapidly. I mean, like grease lightning. And so, absolutely, they would rather do it on a tablet or a phone or whatever, because that's what they know. And that's
You're
what they
all
taught
okay.
themselves.
You're wrong, Craig. You're wrong, Alan. I'm right. You're both wrong. Travis Sanford's right. LA United wasted $1 billion on iPads. Joshua Hughes, working with a spreadsheet on a tablet is extremely cumbersome. A tablet is a compromised device if you don't have access to a real computer.
Oh,
Period.
I've been saying that for years, but a computer is a compromised device too. All devices are compromises.
Travis says my 8-year-old is using Mavis Beacon typing program on a computer lab at school. Joshua Hughes, that's from Travis. Joshua, I've been disappointed in the reviews so far of the new Acer Chromebook 13. I was going to be my next, but I'm going to wait a bit. Bottom line is I think any of the teenagers, even as sophisticated as you say, if they had any kind of full physical keyboard hooked up to any kind of desktop or laptop, and they had a tablet, that they absolutely would not write any kind of lengthy thing or to create a big spreadsheet or any kind of serious work. Texting, different story, but it's just better, it's faster.
First
and
of
even the
all,
kids would
what
recognize
makes
that.
you think any of them are going to write any kind of a serious work?
God damn. What is the difference between a Sunni and a Shia, Craig? God. And I invite these people on my program. Literally, I invite them.
Craig said at the beginning of the show he's been trying to get uninvited for a long time now. You're the easy solution to this problem, guys, really.
I'm upping the ante tonight.
Craig always said he gets what he wants. All right.
You can always put me in charge of inviting everyone, and
There
that
you
way,
Pam
he
would
can only
run-
get pissed at me.
Pam would run things with an iron fist.
If Craig were in charge, he'd invite that million-person army we were discussing earlier. Pam, I'm right, correct? That given if you're looking for a multi-purpose thing for creating spreadsheets and documents and general stuff you do in class and school on a computer, that an iPad or any kind of tablet would definitely be a step down from any kind of actual computer or Chromebook or laptop or what have you.
But let's face it, sorry, Pam. I'm sorry.
You don't have boobs, Alan.
My personal opinion is yes, and only because for college level classes, the students take things that require programs like a Photoshop class or something like that. You can't really install that on your tablet.
You can't do it on a Chromebook either.
No, you need a full laptop.
Well,
laptop.
to be
He
fair,
didn't
for
say-
the argument though, Pam, how do you compare if you had a class of whatever, I'm not sure what grade we're talking about here, but if you were outfitting, say, 7th, 8th grade, 9th, 10th grade, an entire school, and you had to choose between a Chromebook and an iPad or some sort of tablet, I think as their general computing device that they would use in school and then take home, I think clearly you'd want some kind of tablet.
say yes only because of the keyboard. However, you can. My daughter has a little thing, but it's really tiny, and I mean carpal tunnel is real. I have it, and trying to squish your hands together to do the little tiny keyboard thing. I think if there are USB ports and the Chromebooks support a full-size keyboard and mouse, then I think that those are definitely better options than a tablet.
Especially by the time you buy the iPad, and then if you did get could I plug a regular keyboard into an iPad? Can you do that?
Plug it in. You're going to connect to it Bluetooth, a Bluetooth keyboard.
Yeah, Bluetooth keyboard.
That doesn't sound good. I mean,
What do you mean? Most of the keyboards that are wireless nowadays connect via Bluetooth.
And nobody plugs in a keyboard anymore. That's so like 2005. You actually have wires running from your keyboard?
Are you trolling Dan tonight? I mean,
No.
Dan,
No,
Dan
I-
had a rough week this week with his newspaper and all that, getting his newspaper out. He had to increase the circulation because the damn thing's literally flying off the shelves, and he had to get another 1,000 papers out there and scramble and get them all out there. And now he comes into his show to relax and so forth, and all you've been doing is trolling him tonight, Alan. Come on.
When was the last time this show was relaxing?
By the way, Brad from Tech Webcast says that I'm right, and
Dan is the other thing.
yeah.
Well, Brad, for the first time, I disagree.
Actually, he didn't say anything. I was just using his name to try
Are
to
you
get
talking
some
about
credibility.
Brad at techwebcast.info?
Yeah, I was just trying to use his name to get some credibility because he's pretty much all that, and I was kind of just fishing for some cred.
All right, so while Craig ups his street to Friday Fun, build your
Do you have a
first.
copy of the paper you can show us?
I do, in fact. We're under attack by a. If you want to see the paper, you can go to frederickcounty.com or warrencountyva.com. The paper's free. It's right there. You'll look for this color, and we discussed this controversy brewing. And Alan, you looked at it. Did you like the ad on page 3 from the attorney with the?
Let's see. I'm not sure I remember the one from the attorney. I remember. Yes, I like that one. I was trying to figure out if that was fake or not. I was really impressed by that one, though.
Yeah, so this is the page 3 ad. What's going on? And I talked about this last week on the Virginia Talk Network thing. I do. And there's a group of extremists. There, see the guy in the crucifix in the front. While
But-
all 3
but you
television
know-
networks are there filming it. This kind of makes me feel badass.
Dan, all of those people that you're talking about that are protesting your paper and acting out against your paper and so forth, they all read the paper.
Absolutely. We got a
They all
picture of
read
the
it.
main person who started holding my newspaper in
Yeah,
her hand.
they read it, they pass it around to other people to read it. I mean, they're the reason you've had to increase your circulation.
Here's the thing. They accuse us of being on a war against Catholics when they're not mainstream Catholics. The local priest condemned them, said they were cowardly for signing a letter as local Catholics of Front Royal. I am Catholic. Both of my parents are ushers. My 76-year-old parents are ushers at the Winchester, Virginia Catholic Church, just 20 minutes from here. The writer that they accuse of being on an anti-Catholic crusade is himself Catholic. Our main salesperson is Catholic. So for us, that's absurd to say that if 2 Wiccans or pagans or whatever wanted to get married and they got a pagan priestess to come in, they gave her $200. Under this law, she would be subject to a year in jail because she's practicing the magic arts. This is like something out of the 1930s. And 2 of the council members voted to keep the law, and they're both attorneys, even though the town attorney said it's blatantly unconstitutional. So anyway, we've got 9 pages of powerful, epic letters to the editor in this issue. We explain it all, and I would encourage you to read it, and you will not believe that this is happening, that ISIS-like tactics, minus the killing, have come to rural Front Royal, Virginia. And we will win and they will lose because we're right and they are wrong. The First Amendment applies to everybody, even if they don't agree with you. So, sorry. Okay, next up is, that was Serious Dan. Now, Fun Dan returns. Okay, so you can now build your first Chrome extension. Now, is this for morons like me and Craig, Alan, or is this for like you and Cadeas?
Sorry, I'm having a little. I forgot to check this out. It's Probably more for me and Cadeas, but it's really aiming at people who are even just getting started with software development. So it's basically saying, look, if you already know how to program in JavaScript, if you already know a little bit of HTML, hey, that's all you need to know to get started developing for Chrome.
So say you had a student who had taken, they're a kid who's a self-taught kid who's, tinkering around, or a student and they're halfway through their first year, second year, or whatever. This is sort of consolidating and guiding them to promote Chrome extension development and kind of make it easier and put all the better resources so you're not spending hours looking at various YouTube tutorials, that sort of thing.
Well, this is a fun article, just kind of letting people know, hey, this is really all that it takes to write a Chrome extension. It's not a lot of work.
And there are a lot of them out there. Like if you look on the screen, I'm sharing my left screen here, and I've got a Chrome extension that as each tweet comes in, it does a pop-up for 30 seconds. And it's kind of cool because I've seen breaking stuff here before with this tool. So I could be doing whatever. I could be working on, our Google Plus Week doc, which God bless Pam for spending so much time making that happen. And while I'm doing that, I see this pop up. And of course, me, ADD, I'm looking right at it for a second. And then if it's interesting or whatever, I'll click on it. And all of a sudden I have 75 tabs I got to get to. And then, power goes out and I'm screwed. But anyway, that's next up, quantum physics and artificial. No, just kidding.
You don't have yours set so it'll remember your tabs?
I have a ghetto Windows machine, and you have a. So I wouldn't. Mine
No,
would be
in
like.
Chrome, you should be able to. I know in mine, I went into the settings and I set it so that if, like, for example, if I close Google Chrome and relaunch it, all the previous tabs automatically launch.
How many tabs and how many seconds or minutes does that take?
On my main machine, I usually have about 25 or 30 tabs. Oh, because I've had 3 monitors, so I have, and I also have what's called the pen tabs, the ones that are smaller. So that's like 10 of them on my main monitor. I've got 10 of them that are pen tabs, so those are always there. And then I have whatever I'm working on in additional tabs. Then I have certain tabs on the right monitor and certain tabs on the left monitor.
So Chrome adopts each window where it's supposed to go, and then adopts the tabs in there.
It launches all three monitors. It's 3 different windows, right? 3 different Chrome windows with X number of tabs in each one, and it automatically launches them back to where they were previously. So if one was on the right monitor, one was on the center, it puts everything back right where they were.
And so if you boot from scratch, how long from the time you hit that power button until you're ready to go?
It takes about 20 seconds for the computer to boot up. And then I don't automatically launch Chrome. I click on Chrome and launch it because I don't always want to launch it when I'm booting the computer. Sometimes I'm booting it. I just got back from an event. I'm just going to download photos and all. I don't bother to launch it. I just launch my other programs. But if I'm launching Chrome, once the computer boots up, which takes about 20 seconds, then
when you
Chrome
say 20
launches in
seconds,
like,
do you mean fully booted, ready to go, or it's still doing background
no,
stuff? And
ready
it's
to
kind of
go,
sluggish.
ready to go, about 20 seconds. And then when I launch Chrome, it's up and all the tabs are up and loaded, usually in about 10 seconds max.
Oh, that's dramatically faster than mine. Mine would be a couple minutes.
Couple minutes to launch Chrome?
At least 40 seconds because it's. I'll even get the Chrome is not responding. Do you want to close or wait?
Oh my God.
But
No,
yeah,
I
30
couldn't
seconds to have 32 tabs open. Yeah, that's a big deal. And you're on a 4 or 5-year-old Mac Pro. 4-year-old.
It's going on in summer. It'll be 4 years old. It was mid 2010.
Well, that's not a good argument that Apple sucks. That's very impressive.
But it's a high-end machine. I mean,
Luckily, we can delete this segment of the program because it does not fit into our personal narrative. So that's is that an actual Camp David cup from the president's personal retreat there?
I really can't confirm that that Camp David even exists, to tell you the truth, publicly.
That was a great tweet from the CIA Twitter account. They launched it, and their first tweet was, "We can neither confirm nor deny this is our first tweet." That was funny. Okay, so next up is Google stopped showing the latest versions of search to users of older browsers, reports say. So what older browsers? I didn't know there were various versions of search. I thought there was google.com. You type, Japanese porn and you get the same results regardless of, what kind of machine you're on.
Alan's having speaker problems.
Yeah, he's unmuted, but you can't hear him. Nope.
Why don't we go on to the next story, because it looks like you're going to be able to start getting fan funding for this show.
Yeah, what do you think about that for someone who I guess this is a response, as I load it and look, I guess this is a response to people going to existing cloud sourcing places, and Google said, well, why don't we just do that internally, or YouTube?
I mean, people would pay to watch this show. That's what it's about, right? People pay to watch the show. Right?
Well, they have the thing. I guess the best example of this, Pam, would be the Reading Rainbow. Was it a Kickstarter project? It was millions of dollars, and they raised it to bring that thing back. Or to make a movie. We've had movies, prominent movies by celebrities, and they went on there and they used Kickstarter to fund the movie instead of having to go the traditional studio model. So is that kind of what this is, Pam?
Why don't we do an informal poll of the viewers and ask them how many would pay to watch this show?
I don't want to get into that. Why is there a naked man on this story?
Come on, Pam. I mean, this is
you know, I have to post my cleavage just to get the show.
Whatever we got to do. I mean,
the few viewers
we got to do
get.
what we got to do. And you can bet Dan and I aren't going to be able to do anything to increase the ratings.
So here we go. Fan funding details. If you're a fan, you pay him. You can pay with a Visa. YouTube fan funding. Support Paul Soar ESJR for uploading videos to YouTube. $1. By clicking buy, you verify that you're at least 18 years of age and you agree.
So this seems to be similar to a
tip jar.
If you look in the Chrome store, you see some of the extensions and some of the Chrome apps and stuff. That's a donate here type of thing. I've also seen some blogs that are not necessarily pay for content, but they're donate to this cause. If you like this blog or if you like this extension, then donate to it so that I can continue to spend time on it and make it better. It seems to be similar to that.
It's definitely a tip jar.
Go
Yes.
ahead, Alan.
Alan? No.
It's a tip jar.
Yes, I was gonna say it's more like a tip jar.
Yeah, it's
There's
not
a
like a
limit of
Kickstarter thing.
$500 though that you can make per video on this. So
Wait, is that 500 per tip or total?
total.
Why on earth would they do that?
I don't know, but that's where it caps at. So after you've reached $500, if you want to continue to donate to that person, you got to go to the next video.
Well, probably they put that limit in because at that point they want you to use the other monetization tools. They want you to actually sell your channel as opposed to just collecting tips, which is the other thing that we know is coming, is being able to directly sell videos.
Well, that's been around, hasn't it? The paid subscription? Just no one.
Yeah, but they're expanding it. It's that paid subscription currently is tied in with the Play Store. I don't think it's been formally rolled out on the YouTube side. It's there, but I don't think they've ever announced it.
it's rolled out, but you have to have 10,000 or more viewers or subscribers, sorry, before you
I
can
did
even
it.
enable the feature.
I
And
bought
then
it.
I don't think anybody really has content on YouTube that you would want to pay to watch, I guess. I don't,
I did.
I haven't run into some content anyway.
I did it. The chef guy, the big CNN.
Gordon Ramsay?
No, not the British guy who says naughty words for like a solid 60 minutes. But the guy, it's like George Carlin on
Jamie
steroids.
something?
No, the guy who's the tall guy on CNN. He's awesome. He travels and he cooks. And
But so he has a subscription.
yeah,
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain. He used to be on the Travel Channel, and he was a big hit there. And then now he's on CNN. He's a #1 rated show, and it's really a great gig. I mean, they fly him out to some exotic locale, and he gets drunk, and he eats fancy food, and he meets interesting people, and they just tape it all, and then they come back, and he makes millions of dollars. I mean, as gigs go, that ain't bad deal. I want you to go out to Vegas, get ripped, eat
Dan?
great food, But I bought a
Dan?
season. Yes,
Dan, focus, please.
I bought a season, and I was surprised. This was from the Travel Channel or whatever. It was the official thing. I paid. I forget how much it was, and it was because I wanted to get. There were 2 episodes about where Sarik is from in India, so I was really curious because I lived in India and Sarik's Indian. So I bought the whole season. It was like, I don't know, $10 or whatever, and or 15, whatever it was. But I was surprised some of those videos only had like 117 views or something. So they made $300, which does not pay to fly Anthony Bourdain out to Mumbai or wherever it was. But it's extra money they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. The easier and better they make it for people to be able to conveniently pay for good content, the less pirating is going to go on, and the more likely people will do it. I was happy to pay for that. I can watch it. It's on my my own content, so I can watch it whenever I want. So, Hooping Live could definitely, all kidding aside, she could definitely get tips. Didn't she have like some video, like a couple 100,000 views or something crazy?
Yeah, and she's got more than 10,000 subscribers. So we might set that up. We might start doing. You can do some special videos, right, that people can pay for. You don't have to. Doesn't have to be all of them, right?
Yeah, I think it's on a per thing basis.
So that'd be what we'd do. Is we'd release some special videos that they can watch if they pay.
Okay. You can just look and see if that option's turned on in her account. Okay, so fan funding, aka tip jar, in 4 countries, including the United States. All right, so this kind of was disappointing, but I understand the legal ease about it. TwitPic, Pam is our trademark and copyright
Before you move on,
expert.
Dan, what is that officially called? What's the official term for the tip thing?
Fan fun. I don't know.
Because I want to text her.
Oh, YouTube. I forget. If you go to your own YouTube channel, go to your settings, where it says like you're cleared to live stream, you're allowed to do this, you're in good standing, and there's like bullets.
Okay.
One
yeah,
of those
no,
things
no.
is it's on mine. It's the only one that's not yellow or whatever. It's grayed out, and then it says you have to have 10,000 to do this. So
But this is a new thing that is like tips, more or less, right?
yeah, this is a new
Okay.
lower level than that. You're not selling your content. It was as far as like blogging or vlogging or podcasting. Leo Laporte has done this for years, where he has like a tip jar right on his webpage, or you can do a recurring amount like $5 a month if you're a fan. And then other things like he sold bricks in his new building. But let's go to TwitPic. This is a service. They're going to shut down, and they published this notice saying that they had Twitter, which has been extremely aggressive and basically shutting down anyone who offers a different way to get tweets. But in this case, this was a URL shortener for pictures in a picture hosting service, and I guess they don't like it. So the official notice here is
They don't like the name.
they don't like the name. And if you don't aggressively defend your name then you can risk becoming into the public domain the way like Kleenex and some other brands
Well,
have.
but here's the thing. So the explanation here is Twitter has basically told them, you either change your name, or we're going to revoke your API keys, which means we're going to revoke your permission to use Twitter. And this is after TwitPic had successfully defended their trademark, the trademark of the name TwitPic, in court. So this is not Twitter aggressively defending their trademark, because TwitPic was given a legal trademark. This is Twitter saying, we still think this is going to piss us off, so we're going to tell you to go to hell.
So they're shutting down TwitPic?
Yep.
So basically, they were given an ultimatum. They were either told, change your name, or we're going to cut you off. So TwitPic proactively said, well, Twitter is going to cut us off, so we're going to close shop.
So this means that every single link to a picture back to 08 February that's in a tweet is going to become a dead link, right?
If they use TwitPic.
If they
Right.
use TwitPic, all those historic archives will have dead links now. Like some of those early internet services, you know, they had like Photo Bucket and stuff. There are a lot of dead links on those. That sucks. This was
It
a
seems
pretty popular
reasonable.
service, right?
It seems reasonable to me, though, for Twitter to knock them out. It sounds like Alan is I'm sorry. It sounds like Alan is upset about Twitter knocking them out.
Twitter should have just bought them.
Right?
Give
I mean,
them
you
some
are,
money,
is
just
that
buy
your
'em
position,
and
Alan?
keep all those links good and just call it a day.
They're screwing their users for vengeance is what they're doing.
Well,
they're
I mean,
pissed that they won and say, okay, fine, but you're not going to be able to continue because we're not going to give you API access. So all of the
Right, but
millions
it
and
sounds-
millions of links are going to go dead. Screw you.
Right, but it sounds like a pissing match between both companies. Twitter's like, change your name because it has basically our name in it, and TripPic is saying, well,
But Twitter does this. They did, remember, over the pipeline
and,
access for Google.
God forbid, go change your name, stay in business. I mean, I don't know if this company is making any money or not. Maybe they're, bleeding money through and, not making any money, and this is just their way to, try and go out with a blaze of glory. But, I mean, this isn't Apple computers versus Apple Music. This is, TripPic, which is directly, working off of another company that has an extremely similar name. So, I mean, if it wasn't acceptable for, Apple computers to be, or if it wasn't, if Apple Music didn't think that it was acceptable for Apple computers to be using the name Apple, how can you possibly defend that it's acceptable for TripPic to be? How can you?
Well, but
defend
Anthony,
TripPic using?
but Anthony, they've been doing it
Trends.
for years. They've been doing it for years, and people, like Dan says, have been using it, and they've got all these
Well,
links. And
I mean, you can say they've been using it for years and whatever. That really doesn't change the bottom line. The bottom line is seemingly, as far as what I'm
yeah, it does.
understanding,
Twitter's changed
Twitter
the
finally
rules of the
said,
game. Twitter's
enough is
changing the
enough.
rules of the game. Halfway through the stream, they're changing the rules of the game. It makes a big difference.
Anthony, here's you're making this assumption, and you're making this assumption that there is going to be confusion between Twitter and TwitPic.
I was confused. I mean, I would have. I would say that I wouldn't say there was, for me, confusion between the company Twitter and the company TripPic. I didn't know if they were one and the same or two completely different companies. It was a question that did cross my mind. Are these companies one, or are they two different entities?
I mean,
And
you
here's
can have
the thing.
confusion in names, and
Dan, can I finish, please?
oh my God, you, the interrupter, are upset at being interrupted. This is ironic. Go ahead.
No, Dan. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You were talking.
No, you're the host.
Oh my God, we're gonna be like those two crows in the cartoon. Exceedingly polite
You
crows.
guys are at least 40 years old. Fucking get over it.
Alan, I was just gonna say that
Alphabetical order.
there are confusion now. Like a lot of people think that Cracker Barrel cheese and the Cracker Barrel restaurant chain are the same company, when they're not. So what if one had
No,
outbreak
that's
of
not
disease
the
or
same, though.
something?
I mean, in my opinion, if we're talking about my opinion, which I guess we are for this moment, but we're not specifically over the long term, but I think that Apple Computers versus Apple Music is different from Cracker Barrel versus Cracker Barrel, the Kraft cheese company. And I think that Tritter and TrickPick are different from those. I think that those three scenarios that you just brought up are all different. I mean, they have a common, piece to them, obviously, but I think that they all fit into their own final judgment, so to speak, for lack of a better description.
Well, but here's the thing, Anthony, and I think your use of the term judgment is correct here. I would honestly agree with you on one sense. I thought that Twitter and TwitPic were the same company, or that Twitter at some point bought TwitPic. It surprised me, when I read this article, though. TwitPic says that they had filed for a trademark for their name, they had received a trademark for their name, they had defended that trademark for their name.
Right.
Based on that, they have a legitimate right to use their name in this industry.
Right. And I would not disagree with that position. But what I would say to you is that Twitter, at their own discretion, can say, we don't care. We're not going to allow you to use our product. Which I think that any company, unless it's like the water company or the electric company, should be able to say, without reason, that we don't want a person or a company to use our product.
Here's and Twitter's been doing this for a while. Remember, what was it called? Uber Twitter. They said if you want to continue, you have to change your name, and they changed it to Uber Social. It was like a dashboard for Twitter, and they've said that no companies that use Tweet or Twitter or Twit or anything like that can have access to our API anymore. So they all changed their name. Now in this case, they went after them. This is the equivalent of Google saying, Dan, you can not use the word Google in the name of your program because that's our trademark. And then me saying, well, I disagree. And then we have a legal dispute, or I apply for a trademark for Google Plus Week as a news program. And then they say, well, you know what? It's like White House Week on a TV network. They're not saying they're part of the White House. It's a show. I mean, how else do you describe what we talk about, Google Plus?
No, Dan, it's taking it one step beyond that.
And then if I win that fight, then they say, well, okay, fine, you won, but you can't use YouTube anymore.
It's closer to that, yes.
Because in this case, they fought the battle about whether they had the legal right to use the name, and then they won. And I could probably win that because we're a news show. I used to say every show, we're unofficial, look at the whatever, to make that distinction. And I use PLUS, not the plus sign, because we're not trying to pass ourselves off as Google.
And you're also not, and you're also a show, not a piece of technology. You're not software. If you were another piece of software called Google Plus Week, and that was the name of the app, that would be a little bit closer to what this is about. And you somehow got a trademark on it. That's the thing that I'm confused about, to be honest. I don't understand how TwitPic got a trademark.
Well, I'm sure you are not as confused as you say you are, right? I mean, the trademark, whatever they're actually called, the Office of Trademarks.
USPTO.
Yeah. Constantly is giving out trademarks or patents or what have you, that they probably should not be because they are understaffed.
Well, no. First of all, let's separate patents and trademarks. I've got my whole other set of beefs about patents. That's another story. But on the trademark side, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear what the rules are. It's pretty clear how they're enforced. And obviously, Twitter had vigorously defended their own trademark,
Right.
and had come out and said, "Look, we don't think that TwitPit deserves a trademark."
Yeah, but here's the deal, Alan, on that one. They didn't even have a photo service back in the day.
No, I didn't. I said mustard.
So they didn't even
Definitely
have.
mustard.
So they didn't have. Here's the deal, Alan. They didn't even have a photo service back in the day. They've since bought one or added it or whatever they did, right? To where now you can share a photo using Twitter, right? But back in the day, when TwitPic came along, you had to use these third-party services, and so that's a little bit different, right? They weren't competing with Twitter because Twitter didn't even offer that service.
Again, but Craig, the use of a trademark doesn't necessarily have to refer to a competitor. It just has to indicate whether there is confusion in the industry.
There wouldn't be confusion because they're sharing photos, Twitter-related photos, right? And since Twitter doesn't even offer that, there wouldn't be confusion.
Well, come on. Come on, Craig.
I don't agree with that.
This is unscientific, but at least two people in this panel are confused right now.
My first thought was, wait a minute, they don't own TwitPic? I thought because I know like Facebook bought Instagram and Twitter bought, they're always buying something, and sometimes it isn't big news.
They should buy it. That's what I said earlier. They should buy it.
But there can be confusion. For example, let's say, remember the big scandal about the GoDaddy CEO going and shooting an elephant, and it impacted negatively on them. Well, what if something like that happened to the CEO of TwitPic? And Alan and Anthony and I all thought, wow, the Twitter guy did this or whatever. And you do have to vigorously, and sometimes they'll have agreements depending on what you're doing, like Apple Computer versus Apple Records. They had a deal. Okay, fine, you can sell your computers and stuff, then your phone's fine. But when he started the iTunes, they sued, and I think they settled, and Apple paid Apple Records because the deal was you can't get in the music business. Cracker Barrel cheese versus Cracker Barrel restaurants. They had a deal where, okay, one's in the grocery stores with a different looking logo and the restaurant thing, and then the restaurant decided that they made a deal where they were going to go and have Cracker Barrel branded products in grocery stores the way that TGI Fridays has their cheese sticks and stuff. Cracker Barrel sued them, said you can't do it because there would be confusion. And there would be confusion because I didn't know until I heard this case. I wasn't sure whether or not they were the same company. And if one company had a big health scare or some sort of salmonella outbreak, it might affect the cheese, or vice versa. So they have to go vigorously after these people. Disney is the most famous for they'd sue their grandma, I think is what Pam or someone said. But they have to defend their name. But it seems like they're acting like 12-year-olds. They should just change the freaking name.
The reason they were given the trademark is because the trademark office saw that they were not competing. Because back in the day, they didn't even offer a photo service. Twitter didn't even offer it, so they weren't in similar businesses. They were just.
But there are in similar businesses. The way the USPTO evaluates business categories, they're very clearly in similar businesses. Similar businesses are software. I mean, the whole field of software is considered a similar business.
Well, then why did they give it to them then?
I have no idea.
Who knows?
I think it's two 12-year-olds having a pissing contest here. TwitPic should just change their name and make a deal that they'll change the name, they'll get a new URL, but that they should allow all the legacy links to exist. And they'll slowly fade away as time goes by, rather than take, from 2008 forward, all those tweets to be broken links. That's not in anyone's interest. Although I don't know how long they archive those. Do we know that? For a while, they were only archiving a certain period of time. Can you find tweets from 2006? Not TwitPic, Twitter itself.
I thought that
permanent.
I thought that all the tweets were there, but you can't download them.
I think if
no.
I think
they
if,
have a
go ahead.
they have an arrangement with the Copyright Office because we don't have enough federal offices that we have discussed in this conversation so far. They have a conversation with the Copyright Office to archive significant ones, but not all of them.
The tweets?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is Twitter doesn't even keep all the tweets. I know we
I'm
can't
pretty sure they
download-
don't.
Huh?
I think they keep them, but I think it's if you go to like if you went to Craig Ship on Twitter, I think if I scroll down, eventually it just stops. But I think if there was a search in Google, or if someone had done an article and referenced a tweet of yours from 2011, that would still be active, if that makes sense. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, and I think you can download going back a certain, amount.
I can't believe
All
they
right,
have a
so-
hard limit on a 140 character text field. My God.
So
My Google
I-
Drive could probably hold the whole freaking history of Twitter.
So I looked up the answer, and this isn't from a good source, but but I think it
But
looks
read it
right.
on our program anyway.
It says
Then that makes sense.
it says that they keep I read it directly. Referring to how long does Turtle keep treats? It says forever, but right now you can only retrieve the most recent 3,200 per person. It is possible to retrieve the audio treats if you know the ID of the treat.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think that's accurate.
Couple comments here. John Brown, a fellow streaming buddy of mine, a teacher could easily sell, on a previous topic, a teacher could easily sell subscriptions to basic education classes for use by those who were homeschooled. There are a lot of homeschooling parents who would pay for certified instruction. Great example of that would be Khan Academy when he was starting out, before he became all that and got a lot of funding from various sources. Cybernaut suggests
I thought he was free right from the beginning. The stuff he put up on YouTube.
it's free, but that's when he was first starting. Now he's got a bunch of funding. People are donating money.
No. I think you're wrong on that, because from when I saw him interviewed, he said the whole way that thing started was he was helping like a nephew or something, a relative.
I agree, it's
And-
free, but I'm saying this
And
would have been a
then he
neat way for him to
decided
get
it was more
donations if he
efficient to
needed
put the
them.
video up on YouTube for this relative to see it, and then other people started looking at it and all that, and then he just
Correct. We're not in
open.
disagreement here. I'm not
Okay.
saying that. I'm saying that this would be for someone doing something like that. That this would be a good way for them to try to get some funding, because this would be very useful to so many people. Khan Academy has exploded, and I'm sure if someone wanted to donate $1 to his thing,
Yeah, and there's a ton of that out there that's free, so I don't know that anybody has to pay for any of that stuff.
He's
they're
particularly
all the
good, and
major
some
colleges
it's
are
a
putting all their
tip jar.
courses.
It is a tip jar. It's not a subscription. It is a tip jar.
Yeah,
if
but
you
I'm just
choose to
saying-
pay, you can.
I'm just saying there's no need for it, because the major colleges, almost all of them are now putting their classes up and their lectures and all. It's all free. So there's no, I mean, how are you going to compete with that? How are you going to put something up and expect
I'm saying
to get
it should be an option. Leo gets 6 figures for his tip jar. Why should he
Well, that's
disband
because
that?
his content is special content. This educational stuff is not that special anymore, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's out there. There's a ton of it out there for free.
I agree. I mean, but I would say there's certain teachers who are better. And Khan Academy is very, very good, and they were a very early adopter.
Best schools in the world are up there for free, Dan.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so Cybernaut says change the name to TitPic and your traffic will increase dramatically. I think we have a solution. We'll go from TwitPic to TitPic.
No, Apple will sue then.
They own breasts?
Tit pick. That's too much.
Has Dan not been following the news?
That was
Oh,
very
I
funny,
just got it.
Dan.
iCloud. Twitter makes things confusing as far as side businesses go. I'm still not 100% clear TweetDeck is a separate company from Twitter or not. There you go. I don't know the answer to that question. There is
TweetDeck.
confusion.
Twitter did buy TweetDeck.
Okay, so they didn't buy TitPic, though.
No, they didn't buy.
You have to go to iCloud to see TitPics. John Brown, is Twitter obligated to provide API keys to all who request them? Absolutely not. They have kicked some out and they've limited others. The Twitter TwitPic, now I can't even say it right. I've got something on the brain, I guess. Kevin Bryan, the Twitter TwitPic conflict is too bad, but it's really millionaire company versus billionaire company. Things come and go on the internet all the time. Ultimately, who cares? Consumers will just use another picture service. May I suggest Google Plus Photos? And yeah, I think it's a
Wait,
pissing
who just
contest.
suggested Google Plus Photos?
Kevin Bryan.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out if he was trolling us or not.
Talk about a bag of hurt.
Probably trolling us. He has a dry wit. And then the last comment, I used to joke that I could register a Coca-Cola as a jeans company and no one could stop me. But in this day and age, I
Well,
guess
you couldn't
can't.
because Coca-Cola used to make a line of clothing, so they have that trademarked.
Really?
Michael Ellis.
Oh yeah, I need to go.
Yeah, here are
I actually
Coca-Cola
have a pair of
jeans.
Coca-Cola jeans.
Here's the Coca-Cola American jeans at coca-colastore.com.
Well, forget making clothes themselves. They put the logo on clothes all the time. You can buy them in Walmart, I'm sure, if you go down the street. You
With
can buy a
Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So Michael, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I dodge out, can you take over the torch and troll Dan for me?
Oh, yeah, I'm good at that.
Okay.
I'm not as good as you are, naturally, but I'll do my best.
Actually, Craig, I think you're going to be interested in the next topic.
What's the next topic?
We only have 2 more topics.
That's like Dan bait.
Yeah, so businesses accusing Yelp of extortion lose another round in court. There were allegations. We've heard them from folks who said that they had positive reviews on Yelp, and that they would show up, and then they'd get a sales call from Yelp, and they said, "Would you like to advertise?" And they'd say no, and then they said that all of a sudden their positive reviews were diminished, and their negative reviews would populate by default. Now, of course, in any case, you could still look at all reviews, but how they sort this is very relevant to whether you decide to go to Joe's Pizza or Sam's Pizza. And the court has said that they are under no obligation to highlight or show, even if they do behave in a different manner based on whether you advertise. And on the one hand, I can kind of see that, although it seems like dirty pool. But on the other hand, I can see Google, if you pay, you get, a search result above. This probably wouldn't fly in the EU. But what are your thoughts on this? Craig, if you had 30 reviews on Frederick.com for a restaurant, and they were a free listing or whatever, and you had reviews for that, and then you called them up, and they were plus 4 stars or whatever, and then you want to sell them an ad, and they say, up yours. Should it be fair to all of a sudden just go in there and put the negative? I threw up for 5 hours afterward, and my wife had to bring me water in the can because I couldn't get off the. I didn't know which end to aim at the commode. To put that that crazy review from 07 from some disgruntled employee and highlight that in bold and pink neon.
It's definitely nefarious. I mean, it's ridiculous. And
they deny doing that, by the way. To be fair, Yelp vehemently denies and said this is often from people who are pissed off because they didn't get a good review, so they're blaming us for it.
Smoking gun. If
someone would have the audio, right?
If there's something that proves this, that they talk about a PR disaster.
Yeah.
This is almost as bad as the footlong.
Yeah, footlong is our registered
sub.
product trademark and not necessarily indicative of the length of the sub. That was the epic fail of marketing ever. That should be taught. I'm sure it's taught in schools. Alan, what do you think about this? This was I was surprised at this because I'd heard the stories, but tell us why we shouldn't have been surprised, Alan Furstenberg.
Well, you shouldn't have been surprised because all of you are the same ones who are saying that any company can do any damn thing they want to do.
Including donate to politicians.
Not what we said, I don't think.
That's what Dan just said 2 minutes ago.
Well, they should be able to do whatever they want to do, but there should be consequences if they do something stupid.
Yeah, it's called customers leaving you.
Yeah.
But
It's not called a lawsuit by your argument.
Yeah, I can't believe they're doing that, though.
Why not?
Talk about desperation. They must really be circling the drain. I haven't used them for years. Are they still in business, Yelp?
Apparently.
Oh,
I mean, nobody I know uses them.
Yeah.
they are, though. They're very popular on the West Coast. Very popular.
On the West Coast?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, everybody you talk to uses Yelp.
With the hipsters. So you're hanging out with the hipsters these days, huh, Michael?
Well, because, that's the way I roll.
Yeah, there you go.
He says drinking his scotch.
Yeah,
This is actually rye whiskey.
Oh,
It
you're
looks-
not hipster enough.
But I'm having rye tonight.
Rye. Did anybody still drink rye?
Because I have rye humor.
Oh, okay.
Seriously, Alan, if I traveled to a town, if I was going to Nashville or whatever, and I was going to eat, and I didn't know anybody there,
Yeah.
I might download the Yelp app and look for where I am because it knows GPS whatever, or I guess you have to put it in. I can't remember, but I found them to be pretty reliable and pretty good, and some of them really get into it and they write these really funny, witty, so like Amazon reviews. You see some really good people who write epic reviews on Amazon, and same thing on Yelp. I find it helpful. I'm not sure what other service I would use to. Although I use the term trusted source loosely in the case of Yelp based on the allegations against them. But what would you do if you went somewhere other than like doing a Google search and finding, 3 of your people you're connected with have a positive experience there? That would weigh a lot on me if they're someone
Well,
I know. What would you do? Michael, you do this all the time. You travel like a crazy person.
Yeah, if it's a restaurant, Zagat is definitely the better choice for restaurant.
Which is?
Zagat.
Oh, okay.
That's absolutely the better choice than Yelp. But Zagat honestly doesn't play well in California. Yelp is the thing there.
What about the quantity of reviews? I mean, is Zagat like their official rating, like a Michelin guide type rating, or or do they have like?
That's not a Michelin type rating, though. Michelin sends out inspectors.
Right.
Zagat is crowdsourcing before there was a term called crowdsourcing.
I thought
Correct.
Zagat was a hybrid of those. I thought they did have undercover.
No, I
They're
don't think
just-
so. I don't think so. I think it's crowdsourcing. I think Alan's right about that. But I have trusted Zagat a lot more, and frankly, I've never had the experience where a restaurant review that I got from Zagat was so far off, and I never heard of anybody having a problem with Zagat extorting money from them for advertising in order to keep a good review highly posted. And I've heard that a lot from Yelp, a lot.
How do you?
Firsthand, and I've heard that firsthand from restaurant owners, not like through the internet. I've heard that from people that own restaurants telling me about their interaction with Yelp salespeople.
Wow, that's amazing.
Great racket though. I mean, it's basically extortion, right?
It is extortion, yeah. And now I don't trust them at all.
Well, Dan, this is just an extension of what these community magazines have done for years. Like they have a magazine here in town. I'm not going to say the name of it, but
Frederick Magazine.
If you advertise in the magazine on a regular basis, right?
You get nice glowing stories.
Coincidentally, your cheeseburger is determined to be the best cheeseburger in Frederick when they have their annual competition each year, right?
But that was true when I had a restaurant in another city in northern Illinois, not Chicago, second biggest city in the state, not to mention names. They also had restaurant reviews and the best burger in the city and the best Sunday brunch, and those things were tied to advertising dollars. And I didn't know that when I was a consumer, but I absolutely quickly learned it when I was an owner of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, those contests are just publicity machines.
Yeah, they are.
I went into my first bank and one of my competitors. It was genius. I saw a sign there. Vote for us on the Northern Virginia Daily website for best bank in Front Royal, and they had a big sign up there promoting the newspaper. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those like I wish I'd thought of that first. Or these contests like they'll have a beauty contest, the radio station, and then they'll say you can vote as many times you want. In order to vote, you vote on Facebook and you have to like our page to vote, right? And then they get all the most beautiful girls in the region to go up, and promote their radio station's Facebook page. It's genius PR. It didn't cost them a dime. Print a few flyers. That's chump change. I know what
Right.
printing costs. It's not a lot, So anyway, by the way,
Especially
WarrenCountyVA.com
doing
and FrederickCounty.com And go to
Just-
the
just as
Virginia
an
Air
example.
Show's coming up. Check that out on the back cover. Check out all about the Virginia Air Show. Or virginiaarshow.com, I think. Yeah, virginiaarshow.com. They're a paid advertiser, so let me promote them on my program. They're the best air show in the world. Right there.
You know,
Okay.
that's a substantial paper. That's not a small little thing. I mean, that's a big paper you got in your hand. there.
It's, believe it or not, Craig, this is not a small paper. Here's my Note 2. It's bigger than my Note 2. It's several times larger
Whoops.
than my previously undented. I guess I'll be working on Note 2 3.0.
Don't they have the Note 4 out now?
Drinking rye also.
Huh?
Yes, but we cover such things on our Android Week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Oh my
every
God.
Monday.
I got to read this comment
Monday,
from
right?
Travis.
Is that on Monday?
Yeah, next time, how to replace a screen.
Is that Monday, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
It is.
Eastern time?
We're going
Yeah,
to
that's
do
the
that
same
1
time
second,
slot.
real quick. Let me do a comment here. Travis Stanford. Michael's drinking whiskey. Oh, how long till the clothes come off again? Glad my wife is out of town.
Speaking of clothes coming off, that is the same time slot as Hooping Live, Monday nights at 9 p.m.
Wait. Do the clothes come off on Hooping Live? Now I'm going to change.
Okay,
station.
Craig, do me a favor. Lower the volume so we don't get a copyright hit, but play the first 15 seconds or so and screen share for folks who have not experienced the allure of hula hoops.
Oh my God.
People think
I'll-
of hula hoops as, the 50s and stuff.
I'll
But
have
actually,
to find
yeah.
one. Here, give me a minute. You talk about something else, and I'll find one.
That new music video you're promoting is pretty epic in the beginning. All the kids have gone to
that's
bed.
on Facebook. Yeah, let me just play that one then, if I can get it to come up.
And talk while you're doing it. Or I'll just click. I'll blue screen you, which isn't an accurate term anymore because it's not blue.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can find it.
It's actually white screening now.
I'm surprised the Smurfs haven't launched
Okay,
a
here it is. Let me
Redskins
just
type
share my
campaign.
screen first, so that, and then I can tell people how they can find it to see it in better quality. They go to facebook.com/hoopinglive, facebook.com/hoopinglive. So here's the video. So if I click on this,
Don't forget to catch the volume quick, please.
play.
Full screen, if you please. It's a show about hula hoops. See, there's a hula hoop there. If you look closely, you'll see a hula hoop.
You have to study it closely to find the hula hoop. Or you have to study it closely to notice the hula hoop.
Oh my God, we're Fox Business now when Victoria's Secret releases their numbers. Neil Cavuto here. So
Wow.
anyway, see, there's a hula hoop there. You can kind of make it out. It's at the TwitPic level.
So that's enough.
Yes. So that was for Travis Stanford, whose wife's out of town.
Okay, so that's enough of that. But yeah, they can see the actual video. It is worth watching if they go to facebook.com/hoopinglive and go ahead and like that page too.
Don't forget to delete your browsing history afterward. Cybernaut, a virtual glass clink with Michael. Appreciate that, Cy. Okay, so
No
next
creeps,
up, this will be a quick topic, I hope. President Obama names Megan Smith, United States CTO, Chief Technology Officer, Alexander. What the?
We spent 10 freaking minutes on hula hoops, and you want this to be a quick subject.
Oh, I didn't know it was a big deal. So I'm on the edge of my seat. Don't leave anything out. Alan, take it away. And pronounce the
Meg
second
Smith
name,
is the new
please.
CTO.
Okay, so tell us.
CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Okay, technology is the field where we talk about things like computers and kind of science. Basically, Meg Smith, who is one of the well, now was one of the lead executives at Google X, is a scientist, is a software developer, is an incredibly brilliant person, is now the first U.S. Chief Technology Officer that actually knows diddly squat about technology.
Is this the team, not her, but like her predecessors that made the website that didn't work?
No.
Did they choose the company that made the website that didn't work?
No, that was HHS.
Okay. Because you should have everyone reinventing the wheel at each agency.
I mean, other than what the title suggests, what does the CTO actually do? I mean, is it really, a position that anyone should care about, or is it just like a position to have because technology is important and we need a CTO in the government?
Well, no, it's important in the sense that this is not a person that creates technology policy for the country. This is the person that is responsible for technology in government.
And probably advising the president on issues like this, general. I mean, I was the chief communication. I was the communications director at Randolph-Macon Academy. After I taught for a while, I was promoted or became a director of that. And we would make decisions like, do we go with iPads or Chromebooks? I had a staff of like 20 people, and they ran the computer network, all that stuff.
I mean, I know what a CTO is in a typical company. So the CTO here, you're telling me, is actually basically their equivalent. It's not like just a title that they're giving to some.
I would guess they'd be the head person over USA.gov and all that staff that runs that, right, Alan?
I'm actually incorrect on 2 points. The first is the predecessor was responsible for the healthcare website. If not the immediate predecessor, I believe the one before that. And second, they do have a policy position, not just a pure implementation decision.
Mm-hmm.
So they are responsible for contributing to technology policy.
Okay, so this is a big deal.
Yes.
You'd certainly want someone, who's on the cutting edge of technology in that role. So this is great. Google X is lost, but I mean, they don't make as much money as she would have at Google X, but it's good for the country, and it's certainly good for her. I mean, she could do the lecture circuit for the rest of her life at various.
It's certainly debatable whether or not this is good for the country.
But there's no debate about whether Hoping Live was good for the program. We have some comments here. Rich I just now subscribed to Hooping Live. Cybernaut, I could watch that for 7 hours. Travis, now I'm really glad my wife is out of town. I can hear it now. What the hell are you watching? I'd never be able to explain it. It's just
Dan, go back to Sai's comment.
I could watch that for 7 hours.
I'm not sure that's as much considering how much he watches this show, which does not have hula hoops on it.
It does now. We're going to have Craig come back each week and do the latest. Now what's the new show you work? Can we say?
You're going to buy Craig a hula hoop?
I don't want to see Craig in a hula hoop. I want to see Audrey and her friends.
I think we should see if Audrey would come on the show with a hula hoop.
Travis, now I'm really glad my wife is out of town. I can hear it now. What the hell are you watching? Never be able to explain. It's just a hula hoop video and a Google Plus technology show. And Travis, the person responsible, the government CTO is the person responsible for technology in government, the person who resets passwords, basically.
That's what it is, I'm sure. So when Obama forgets his password on his BlackBerry,
if that worked, they would have hired an executive.
Their websites are good. The government websites are really good. They're good at getting stuff out there. The White House site's good.
By the way, what's the deal with all the numbers that you're putting on the document?
Whenever I switch a shot, like this is just me, this is me with this is number, like if you're looking at the document, I'm gonna hit 1, right? I just went to me only. Now I'm gonna press 2, and that's me, and one of you guys.
But why are you putting it on the document?
Because it goes somewhere because I use my number pad as a hotkey, so it intercepts the key to make the switch. This is 3 is you, and it just
Oh, so
doesn't disappear.
You just put it on the document just to have it somewhere.
I have to stick it somewhere, so I try to find a place that's not because I'm on the document, right? And then
Gotcha.
4 is the intro, 5 is the comments, 6 is
Well,
the
if
full
I had a
hangout,
dime for every time I've said
Hey.
that.
7
Hey,
is
Craig.
the slide opening, and 8 is my left screen, 9 is my right screen, 0 is blank.
Hi, Craig. My name is Anthony. We've been doing the show for like 100 weeks, and he's only been doing this for like, I don't know, the past year.
I
Yeah,
think
but I never asked him why.
someone
I
else
never-
asked last week. It's going to become a thing because I went ahead and published this to the web or document. And I got the bit.ly link, bit.ly/GPW topics. So that's the public link for anyone to look at our topic list as we go. And they can watch my numbers as they slowly accumulate. So there. All right, so any further thoughts on the new Chief Technology Officer of the United States? Maybe we'll go back to that hula hoop thing.
Other than the fact that I don't think it's going to help drag the United States government into the 21st century as far as technology, no, I don't have any comment.
That's quite a comment, Pam, to just drop out there and say I have no comment.
They've done, there are some things like you used to have to stand in line at the DMV. Now they have a very fast, easy procedure to get a replacement driver's license or whatever online. It works well, and they're rewarding people for using it. They charge less online.
Maybe Virginia's works well. New York's definitely does not.
Virginia's DMV has always been a lot better than Maryland.
So all you're talking about states.
Yeah, exactly.
She's not the state CTO. She's the federal government.
Yeah, but the federal government now is
They're
dictating.
still using DOS, I think.
The federal government, Pam, is dictating a lot of things to the states now.
Yeah, but
Not-
I still say that.
Not
that-
DMVs.
Okay.
And,
Trust
And
me, they're dictating more and more all the time. Trust me.
That's true, but they're not dictating how DMVs operate their computer system.
Give them time. They will. Give them time. Give them time.
And I can't believe that Anthony would suggest that the conservative right-to-work state of Virginia would have a more efficient government operation than the state of New York.
Which has the same right to work laws.
Do you?
I'm pretty sure.
You can't have union shops there? Do you have public sector unions?
No, we have unions.
Do you have large sodas? How much free
Right.
time does your mayor have?
Companies can fire people for any reason.
Okay. Let's look at
Dan?
the school system.
Dan?
Okay. So,
Dan?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Next
Can
up,
we talk a little bit about geography?
do what?
New York City has a mayor. Rochester, New York,
I was trolling him. I know that.
nowhere near New York City.
I was trolling him. I know that. I controlled too. I got some game.
I
I'm a
think
ta-
I think Rochester lost a prominent individual in that plane crash today. Wasn't that today?
Oh, was that guy the guy who flew over Cuba?
Weren't they flying from Rochester to Naples, Florida?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Ooh, State Department releases graphic anti-ISIS video. I got to see that. See, that was
Can
from
you
my.
Google that real quick and find out, Dan, if the plane was flying from Rochester? I thought it was Rochester.
We have two shows.
We do. And the first topic that we're going to discuss,
Do you have a show Monday night at 9?
we do. Go ahead, Alan. Tell us about our Android week.
So this week on our Android Week, we've got, we're going to be talking about Android. For those of you that aren't aware, Android is an operating system that runs on your phone and tablet. And your watch, which is what we're going to be talking about most of this Monday.
Talk about a bag of hurt. Jeez.
I'm curious to see what Tuesday brings, Craig.
I'm sure you guys are good at it.
What the hell is going on with the audio? I think it's Michael. Michael, can you mute your mic? You keep popping up, and we're getting echoes and stuff. I think you're. Are you on hoopinglive.com, Michael?
I might have been. I'm sorry. I apologize. I've been outed. I was on Hooping Live.
By the way, that thing has almost 3,000 shares, Dan,
That's excellent.
on Facebook.
I didn't know hula hoops were that popular.
We didn't even put that on YouTube because of the copyrighted song, so it's only on Facebook. So the only way they can see that special video is facebook.com/hoopinglive. And we did that in a Hangout. Hey, this is related to Google Plus Week.
Because it was
We
done, it was
actually-
technology involved
We
in
actually
capturing
did
that.
it in a Hangout. We were in a Hangout, and it was a private Hangout. And Audrey said she was really into this song, and she wanted to hoop to this song. And I told her, I said, well, why don't you record it? And so she hooped to the song, she recorded it, and then I walked her through doing the editing on it in Final Cut Pro. And we did it all live in a Hangout. And then, well, we weren't broadcasting, right? But we were in a Hangout. And then she uploaded it, and so that's how that whole thing came about in an actual Google Hangout. Nobody's impressed.
By the way, I just want to vent real quick, and then I want to get Craig's. I just saw one of my tweets here. The story from CNN: State Department releases graphic anti-ISIS video. So then it says the brutal blah blah blah. Then it describes the video. Okay, where is the freaking link? Then it says it's posted to their dedicated YouTube channel. There's no link. Why do they do this?
The State Department is trolling you.
No, this is
It's like-
CNN story because they know that I'm going to go to the link. I'm going to share the video. I'm not going to share their stupid CNN story, which is just rehashing it. That pisses me off. Okay, so anyway, we're one of the things here we're going to talk about Monday is this these gigantic. I don't know. I'm not sold on this, Craig, because you discussed this about the lag. But what do you think about this? These giant lenses that you strap to your phone. And there are some use cases where this would be cool. I think you brought up one, which would be if you were live blogging an event and you wanted to, throw out some stuff right to Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or what have you from the event as you capture your higher quality stuff locally. But is this going to become a thing, or is this a netbook that is going to fizzle?
I think the reason they're kind of expensive for what you get, for what you're getting. You made the comment that you're getting a lot less than a regular camera, right? And
yeah,
so,
all the brains are in the phone, right? This is like a shutter and a lens and some other stuff.
And so really the price, considering what you're getting, the price is relatively high. And I think that's because the production numbers aren't going to be real high on these things. This is a niche product, and it is good for certain use cases. Remember, it does not have to be attached to your phone.
Right.
So one of the coolest use cases of this thing is if you need like a high angle shot, right, and you want to put it up high on a pole or something shooting down, and you can control it with your phone. In other words, you can put this thing anywhere, sort of like a GoPro. So, but I think that they should be more ruggedized, and I think they should be, like waterproof and more like a GoPro type thing would make more sense, because I think those are the best uses for this thing.
This does address a gap in what you can do with quality professional photo gear and what you can do with your phone. I have a Canon 1D and I have a NEX7, and I can go in the field and I can capture dramatically better stills and videos than my Note 2 will capture. But if I'm in the field, if I'm live blogging an event, if something crazy happens, I see the meteorite, whatever, with my phone, I can capture that video and still, and it's shitty quality compared to my NEX7 or my 1D, but I can immediately use any app on here to do whatever with it. I can shoot it up to all the social media things right from where I am. The other stuff, like you do and I do, we come home, we plug our camera in, we upload it to our desktop and do that. People want the ability to do what you can do with this, but have the quality you can get from a real camera, because this is not a real camera. And so this kind of addresses that, but kind of includes you way. I think the way to go in the end is going to be, you're going to see like an iCamera or like the NX camera that Cadeas has that has Android built in. Basically you've got this and you've got like but we need to have iOS
Yeah,
and or
because if
Android
it's all
on a real
built
camera.
together, if it's all built together, you get rid of that wireless lag. But the problem is, if you build it together, now you can't do what I was just saying earlier, where the camera's up yonder and you're controlling it here, right? So there
It's
are different use
pluses
cases.
and cons, right?
Different use cases, and I just think that this thing, it's a shame that that it isn't more ruggedized and built for like a remote camera situation as opposed to built to attach to your phone. I think that it's more useful as a remote camera, to tell you the truth. But I guess there are a lot of other cameras that you can use that way. So it's just a niche thing. There's going to be a whole bunch of these kinds of things, and I don't think any of them are going to sell in real high volume.
We'll see, because this is not their first generation, so maybe they've gotten some sales. And then the other thing we're going to talk about, extensive coverage of wearables. I think the Moto 360 just came out at Best Buy and immediately sold out. They said it was available at Best Buy now, and I went there and it's like sold out, sold out. Now the only dilemma for me is whether to get the silver or the black ring on the top, and I'm leaning toward the black one because I like my technology to be not in your face. Okay, next up, how was your Google Plus week? Pam Azure. That's not Pam.
Yep.
That's the naked
Pam's
guy
good.
with the whiskey.
My Google Plus week was pretty good. I've been busy at work, and it was my husband's birthday on Wednesday. Monday was Labor Day, and I basically sat around the house and did nothing all weekend, and yeah, Joan Rivers died.
She was great.
That's about it.
I know she had, Pam, I know she had like 75,000 plastic surgery operations, but, Michael Jackson went in one direction with that, and she really, for 81, my God, she looked fantastic, didn't you think?
She looked like plastic.
You think?
Yeah, dude.
Irregardless of what she looked like, I think that she's definitely an example of someone who's been able to persevere regardless of setbacks. She never gave up. She never stopped. She went through multiple setbacks in her life. Her husband committed suicide. Johnny Carson quit talking to her. Her show failed, and she wanted to be a dramatic actress, and that just wasn't paying the money. And she turned to comedy, and I just think that she's definitely an example of someone who, despite being told no over and over again, she found a way to get yes, and that's a great thing. There's
that's something that
fault her.
That's something that a lot of successful people share.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it takes.
She didn't take any crap from anyone. She's been hired to go in and do comedy for big company to-dos and all that stuff, and she ripped the CEOs up one side and down the other. She didn't give a fuck, and I think that.
But that's why you hire someone like that. Like I remember when Don Imus
actually, they were quite upset about that. Actually, they didn't expect that.
Really?
They expected her. Well, they expected her to rip other people, right? Not them.
Well, they
Right?
do that, but it's like when they hired Don Imus to do the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he made just brutal fun of Bill Clinton, and then everyone was like shocked and outraged at how insensitive he was. Well, you don't hire Don Imus if you don't, do your homework, buddy. She was great, and on your thing, I wonder if it was partly therapeutic. In other words, her husband, remember she was the regular guest host on the Tonight Show, Of course, she was. There may have been others, but then Jay Leno ended up doing that as the regular guest host, as Johnny Carson stopped. Became eventually, I think, 3 days a week, and then she quit and got a show on Fox, the Joan Rivers show. It lasted for 1 year, and her husband was the producer. And then that show, when it went off the air, she said that when he killed himself, that was a big part of it. But apparently, the guy was an asshole, and so I think when you're through tragedy, I find, or if something bad is happening, the quicker I get back to work, the quicker I can take my mind off just sitting there being depressed about something. So I think part of it was therapy, and also she probably needed it, to earn a living. At the one thing she really could earn the most money
I don't
at.
think at the end she really needed to work as much as she did. I think people, there are a subset of people who just can't retire. They just can't relax. They just can't stop. And I think that she was one of them. I don't think necessarily it was therapy so much as it was her personality, her drive.
And there's no rush.
She was booked for the day after this throat surgery.
Yeah. I think she worked right before. Yeah, she had a very steady, like Bob Hope and these other pros, they worked until George Burns until they couldn't work anymore. But her thing, it was sudden. She was appeared to be in full form at an event just a couple days earlier, on stage, cracking jokes with the best of them, offending everybody in the room, but picking on herself first. She wasn't above being picked on herself.
Oh, no, she was completely self-deprecating at all times. Yep, absolutely. She made fun of her plastic surgery. She made fun of everything.
And she would set stuff up. There was a wonderful obituary. I think it's in either the New York Post or the New York Daily News, from Barbara Walters. It's not that long a read, but if you're watching, if you're interested, just Google Barbara Walters, Joan Rivers obituary. You'll find it. And she said that when she came on The View, that she would set up. They said Barbara Walters said this was very unusual, because normally everything's unscripted, but she would always have a couple things. She'd say, "Ask me this." Your nose looks a little funny today, and then she would go into some plastic surgery joke, whatever. She'd have some material lined up that was unique for that appearance, and so you see that with comedians. It's no wonder that when the epic Louis C.K. bit about cell phones and it's going through space, and it's probably not a coincidence that the host just happened to ask about technology, so he could launch into that routine, which probably was rehearsed 40,000 times. But those are the pros. That's what they do. Before Michael Jackson went on stage, he did 10,000 rehearsals and nailed it. That's how you get that good. It's just, you don't just do that. So kudos for bringing her up. She was great. I want to say class act, but I don't know if that's appropriate. A brass act. How about that? Brass act.
Oh yeah, she had some brass balls in a box somewhere. I'm telling you. Yep.
All right. So let's go to someone who has them hanging from his hitch on his pickup truck. Michael Ellis. How was your Google Plus week, sir?
Does Michael have a pickup?
Actually, I'm the one with truck nuts.
I don't have too many bull testicle jokes, so you got to work with me on this, Craig. I've got limited material here.
George Cozy bought me truck nuts for Christmas. So
oh my God, are you serious?
Is Michael frozen?
Is he physically frozen or his stream is frozen? Let's see here.
I think he's frozen.
I would never put Michael on the screen. Oh, now he's gone. Totally. Yeah,
he's in the thumbnail, but he's frozen.
Well, we're going to go to... Cadeas, are you there at all? He's probably fallen asleep. These guys will actually work during the day. All right, so let's go to Craig Shipp, sir. How was your Google Plus week?
Nobody else you can go to, huh?
I mean,
when
life gives you lemons, Craig.
Yeah, we had a very, very productive hangout when we did produce that video, so that was a lot of fun. And of course, I've already mentioned, but just go to facebook.com/hoopinglive and go ahead and like that page and take a look at the video and so forth. So we did that, and of course on my channel I've got a whole bunch of product reviews, a bunch of new product reviews up and so forth, so just head on over there. That's youtube.com/areacable, youtube.com/areacable. And I guess that's about all I did this week.
All right. Except I think we got in an argument at some point about something, about 3 times a day during the week.
That almost never happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Alan Furstenberg, how was your Google Plus week?
It was pretty good. I actually had an incredibly productive week. Got a lot of stuff done, which I feel really good about. On Google Plus, I got
Your book's on sale.
my book is on sale, which is always a good thing. I like people buying my book, and if they can buy it at 50 or 60% off, that's even better. I published a whole bunch of stories this week, Google Plus photo stories, and most of them actually came out really good with only minimal effort. So that was nice. And the rest of them were an utter pain in the ass, which pissed me off, which wasn't as good, but I'll cope. And tomorrow I'm helping run a hackathon for Glass.
That's awesome.
I have a quick question about the photos thing. If you have photos that you uploaded and they didn't make an animated GIF, but you took a series of photos right in a row that they would normally make an animated GIF out of, but they didn't, is there a way that you can force that to happen?
You need to use the mobile app, and you can turn it into a motion, yes. I think the iPhone one does it. I know the Android one does it.
So they have to be photos you took with that device?
No. You just need to use the device to do it, because they've implemented the feature on the phone, not on the desktop version.
So what do? You browse to those photos, and then you select them or something and tell it to do it?
You go into on Android, you go into the gallery, you select them, and you tell it to turn it into a motion.
Okay. So I'll have to try that on iOS. Okay, I'll do it. Thank you.
How was your Google Plus week, Dan?
It was good, but I got a quick question for Craig on that. Rich Had says, Craig and Dan, do you recommend the NEX over the GoPro as far as interviewing people? I need something where I can plug in an external mic. I would absolutely recommend an NEX over a GoPro, but I would say don't do anything until, is it Photokino? What's the event, Craig?
Photokino is in 2 weeks or so.
And is it in Germany?
Yeah, and it only happens every 2 years. And so, yeah, there'll be some more cameras announced and so forth. So right now, it's unfortunate because a lot of the newer Sony cameras that have come out don't have a mic input. And so they haven't come out with a replacement for the NEX7 that does have a mic input. So really, the NEX7 is still a good camera to buy. The only thing is the overheating issue. If you can get by with 10 minutes or so of video safely, then you're fine. But if you're doing an interview that's 30 minutes long or something, absolutely not, because it might overheat and cut off like halfway through. So that's the only real issue there. But you need something with a mic input. Your choices aren't that great with Sony. With some of their newer cameras don't have the mic input.
If you want to see the NEX7, which is pretty cheap now, right? It's discontinued, but you can still buy it in some places. But if you go to,
it's still available.
Yeah, go to our, it's not a secret, but we don't promote it, but it's areaguides.wordpress.com is our training site. And there's a video of me talking, and I'm using the NEX7 with a mic. And it's pretty good looking, it sounds good. And I wasn't doing a Zoom or anything, I was just going right into the mic. But I'm very impressed with the quality from that.
Dan, if he's going to use if he was thinking about using a GoPro, my gosh, he can get video just as good out of his cell phone. And he can just get an adapter and get yourself, and I've got this on my channel. Go to my channel, youtube.com/areacable, and search Giant Squid mic. And I've got how you hook that Giant Squid up to your cell phone with an adapter, a little short adapter you buy on eBay. And the quality is great. And so if you can get by with a lavalier mic, right? There are also adapter cables that you can get to hook up an XLR mic to your iPhone or Android phone. And so just get a tripod adapter for your Android phone, put it right on the tripod, and hook up a decent mic to it, and do your interview with that. You don't have to buy a camera.
Yeah, but I would not, I'm with Craig. I wouldn't for a second consider a GoPro as an interview camera, unless you have some strange like if you're interviewing kayakers on a river,
You
maybe,
need
you
a
know,
super wide angle for some reason, right?
yeah.
Yeah, if you need that. Does it even have a mic input? GoPro?
I don't know.
I didn't even know if they did. Maybe they do.
Okay,
Maybe
so
no.
my Google Plus week was except for being under assault by a religious extremist group stuck in the Middle Ages. It was great, and we got the paper out. It's a great issue. Recommend you check it out. WarrenCountyVA.com or FrederickCounty.com. The paper's free. You can check it out right on the homepage. And I'm exhausted. I went to bed at like 6:30 a.m. and woke up at like 11 or something. I think I finally posted the paper around 6 or finished everything. So I'm kind of a zombie, and I'm amazed I'm still awake. But we thank you very much for watching and commenting, and we look forward to our next program. As we said earlier, our Android week is every Monday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Every Monday, except last Monday, Labor Day. Every Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. This program, Google Plus Week, is every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. We love your live comments. We love your trolling comments or happy comments or funny comments. Like Travis Sanford's prediction of where Mike went. He turned off the lights and is naked, he suggests. The whiskey's kicked in. But thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Until then, have an epic, awesome, wonderful Google Plus Week.